Well, we are back, huh? We're back at the 9 Club, everybody. Today, we have a very special. He's shaking his head. Special guest, Mr. Patrick O'Dell is with us. How are you, dude?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah? Thanks for coming, dude. Yes.
I'm nervous. I feel like I like being behind the camera better.
We all know you from behind the camera. I mean, you've been behind the camera a long time, you know, from your days at Thrasher, New York, Vice, VBS even, you know, which is interesting. I want to get into a lot of that Epicly Later'd stuff because it's fascinating what you made from a blog into a show. So definitely talk about all that. But for those of you out there in TV, YouTube land, I just want to mention that Heath Kirchart is sitting here behind the scenes.
Yes, he's right here.
Maybe he will or will not come on the show one day.
We have high hopes that will be the case.
So thanks for coming. You're currently in Oakland now.
Oakland, yes.
Nice, dude. How do you like it out there?
I love it for the geography. Like 10 minutes from my house, there's a hike. You can hike through redwoods.
Really?
I've been going camping a lot. And
Oakland, I don't picture camping and hiking. Oakland, I picture just driving and walking and a bunch of other stuff.
Riding the BART.
Riding the BART. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the Oakland that I knew back when I lived in SF and from skating, it's probably the same Oakland in the skatable areas. But yeah, there's a redwood forest.
Huh.
And I go hiking sometimes in Marin and
okay.
Just Bay Area is beautiful.
So do you like you're a nature guy. You like to be outdoors and all the nature stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it moving up there for work or just like I'm gonna?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A work thing.
What's up with work?
It's my wife's work.
Oh, nice.
So
like it's kind of a random place to move to Oakland, kind of, but
yeah, I wasn't filming Epicly Later'd up there.
Oh, okay.
When you were filming Epicly Later'd, I mean, we could talk about how you got your start in all this, you know, growing up and then, you know, getting, like your first job was?
Little Caesar's Pizza.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
We got to start somewhere.
Taking photos for them or their website?
Making pizzas.
Okay.
And have you ever had Little Caesars?
Pizza.
Yeah.
5 for 5 or 5 for 2 or something?
It's always 2 pizzas. They don't deliver.
Yeah, they have little. It's like it's
You just get $5 pizzas there.
It's almost like little kiosks.
Did they have
you
the
walk
crazy
into.
stick with the crazy bread?
Yeah.
Whatever. Dude, I remember that, bro. That was really good. when I was younger.
Yeah,
that was definitely hit the spot.
And my first skate job, I got a job at Woodward Skate Camp as a dishwasher because they were like, you can stay for free and skate if you wash dishes.
Oh wow!
And I was like, signed. I think I went as a camper.
Woodward
I was
East,
starting
I assume.
Woodward, Pennsylvania, yeah.
Right,
and I went as a camper, and then I met some people that were like, "We're the dish dogs, and they let you stay for free if you wash dishes." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that."
Every kid's dream.
Yeah,
Right.
I guess that's not a job if you're not getting paid. Maybe you get like $100 and whatever.
And extend your stay?
You get to stay.
Yeah.
And you do 2 shifts a day, so either breakfast or lunch, dinner, wash the dishes, and you get to skate the rest of the time.
And how old were you then?
It's not a bad.
Probably 17,
Amazing.
18, 16, 17.
Okay. That's
The
not a bad
other,
gig.
the other dish dog, Scott Pizzelt, was a dish dog with me.
No way.
Wow.
And he ripped.
Oh yeah.
He was blowing
he's
it.
always ripped.
He was blowing everyone's mind.
Crazy.
That's sick.
So Woodward, first job, dishwasher, right? But Columbus, Ohio, is that right? You grew up there?
Yes.
And then where did you go from Woodward?
Well, I went to college. I went to San Francisco Art Institute to study photography and fine art.
But at this point in time, were you already taking photos of skating, though?
Yeah.
So San Francisco seemed like a good move.
Yeah, it was like, I think I wanted to, attend college, study art, whatever, but I also was thinking like, I had met Bryce Knights, I had met some people in skating, and I thought, I'm going to be a skate photographer. I'm going to go there and just lurk around with my camera and shoot photos outside of school, outside of like homework.
And is that exactly what you did?
Yeah, I met Bryce Knights at Woodward.
Okay.
And he's like, and I gave him my little like skate zine.
Oh, you were making zines.
He was the photo editor of Thrasher. And he's like, oh, I would print this photo. I'd print that photo. Like, send me pictures. And they printed a few things here and there.
Really?
And then I moved to SF as, just get out of Ohio, be a skate photographer.
Right.
I had like crappy equipment and would shoot with kind of like sponsored level skaters and send them. But Thrasher, of course, if you were in SF, they didn't need me because they had Luke Ogden and they had Gabe Morford and they had all these people. So I ended up sending pictures to different magazines like Strength, which was in Cincinnati.
Slap, probably.
Slap is still in.
No, Slap didn't
city.
need me.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't think it through. I was like, oh, they won't. If I move there, they won't need me
Because
they already got people.
But so wait, so how long were you in SF for?
4 years.
4 years. So you got in good with them because then you moved to New York, right? And that's when you
Moved to New
really
York.
became like staff photographer for them, right?
Yeah, because they didn't have an East Coast person.
See, that's a ticket, right?
Yeah, I didn't do it on purpose. I think I just had I had a girlfriend in New York, and I was like, all right, I'm going to New York.
Huh. And then so what did they say? Like, hey, we need somebody out there. We'll put you on staff.
Yeah, Burnett hooked it up.
Got you.
Super sick.
So, damn, you went from SF. When you were in SF, who were you taking photos of? Like, were you taking photos like Satva and like
Maybe.
Scott Johnston and all these people, or what?
Not Scott Johnson. I think he was pro level, but maybe just like whoever I could.
What year? What time frame was this?
95 to 99.
Oh, sick.
So I have
that
pictures
was
of like Mike York or Spencer
Ooh,
Fujimoto. Or,
nice. It's almost like the end of like the old EMB era.
man, I had one that would have been so good, but it came out blurry, which was of Shamil Randall doing like a backside nose grind on the higher Black Rock.
Okay.
Like so on top of it. And I remember it came out blurry because I sucked at shooting skate photos. And I always think about that one. Like, that would have been a sick photo if I knew what I was doing. And I think I didn't have the real fisheye because it was too expensive. And I had the 24 millimeter lens, which is like when it distorts everyone in the sides. You know, if someone's head's in the corner, their head's distorted. It's just like the shitty lens for shooting skate photos.
At this time, was EMB still a thing, or was this more like
Pure 7.
Pure 7? Yeah, gotcha. So you missed the whole.
But I would just lurk and shoot skate photos if I could.
Right.
And shoot portraits of people. I mostly like shooting portraits and stuff.
That's it. Okay.
So I have tons from back then of, whoever.
Well, it's interesting because you came out with a book recently, Big River, right? Your trip down the Mississippi, right? With Heath and a couple other people. How come you've never done a photo book with all these rad headshots that you have and everything? Have
I've done little zines, but I'm actually working on one.
Nice.
You are?
Yeah.
Amazing.
So we kind of not rushed this one out, but I got this out because I'm doing a book with a publisher, and it's my blog, Epicly Later'd, not the blog version.
The blog, yeah.
Turned into a book.
Interesting.
And so we're working on it now.
Nice.
Let me ask you a question about that, because for people that don't know, Epicly Later'd was a blog that it was like kind of the first skate blog that kind of took off, right? Is it archived or something? Because was this a Tumblr thing, or what was this?
No, it's hosted by Yahoo, I guess, but I just pay the bill every month still. I don't add to it, and I don't know if I could if I wanted to, but I pay,
It's still up there.
$6 a month for it to sit there. It's a couple times I've forgotten to pay, or my credit card changed, and then the site disappeared, and someone would email me and be like, "Hey, your site's down," and then I would go in and change my credit card.
Try to figure. Oh my god! So tell us the story behind the Epicly Later'd blog, because again, it was kind of the first skate blog that took off. But what's the name behind Epicly Later'd? I heard you didn't even like that name in the beginning.
Yeah, now I'm used to it, but I was on a skate trip with a bunch of friends, and you know how I'm sure you've had this. You go on a trip and you start having words for the trip.
Okay.
Just things you think are funny.
Sure.
And these guys I was on the trip with, they kept saying later, like somebody was like, it originated, one of them worked at a construction site, and a bunch of people were complaining. And he's like, "Oh, I latered those guys." Like he said later to them because they were being annoying or whatever. So we kept saying latered. And then we kept saying epic, which I think we were using ironically, like kind of like a bro way. So everything was either epic or latered the whole trip. And so anyway, when I was at the URL trying to think of names, I had all these name ideas for the blog. And they kept I wanted the .com and they kept being taken. So I put in Epicly Later'd in it.
It was there.
But that's also because the
pretty
word
sick.
epically is spelled wrong. It's EPICIALY, I think is the correct spelling.
Did you purposely misspell
No,
it?
I had no clue. I didn't even know for like a long time.
That's so
And then
sick.
Later'd's not a real word, so
Right. Okay, do you remember any of the names that you wanted to call it? Like, what was the top of the list? Do you remember?
oh, this is embarrassing. Probably.
I would love
I
to
think
hear
I
it,
was
though.
going to call it Skateboard Showcase because I
Okay.
liked like when you go into a vintage store or something, there'd be like a showcase with jewels or something, and I was like showcase.
I like Epicly Later'd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've now gotten used to it, but it took maybe 10 years.
Wow, why 10 years though? I mean, this was the most popular thing in skateboarding
Yeah.
for a long time.
I guess it's just names because I think there's a lot of stupid names in skating, and I guess you just get used to them. Like, isn't it Thrasher kind of stupid or Baker? But you just get used to it.
This is true.
Like even when Girl Skateboard started, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and then but you get used to it pretty quick. Even Nine Club, it took me a while to kind of start saying the name because it's just something new. I guess you can get used to it, yeah, but
Get
not
used to
10
it.
years. You know?
Yeah.
All right. So we have this blog now, Epicly Later'd. You're pushing it, you're doing it, and then tell us how the VBS got involved. Because I was sitting trying to rack my brain I was sitting there like, where the hell was Epicly Later'd? Was it on a YouTube channel? Was it on? And then I remember VBS. I was on like a live stream and we were trying to remember and everybody VBS. And so you've always been with Vice, which I found interesting.
So I like doing the blog because when I was in art school, you'd have a box of photos and you maybe show them to some people or you make a zine. And the blog was great because suddenly a lot of people could look at it
Right.
and you could tell little stories. And I liked that aspect of it, the storytelling part of it. And I stopped working at Thrasher and took a job at Vice as the photo editor. And my boss, they launched VBS as like their platform. I think later they changed the name back to just Vice TV or whatever, but they suggested I do a skate show. And I think it was because no one else working there had skate connections or I don't know why, but they just like, you can do the skate show.
But this is where I'm confused. Can you just clear this up for me? Because like I feel like you started in 2004, but Vice VBS started in 2007. Am I tripping on that, or
I don't
were you
know.
already
Vice launched with my show.
It launched with your show.
VBS.
VBS did. Okay.
So
So
we
that was
were
in
on-
2007.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't
It's
remember?
like years and years or hard years.
It was New York. We were
Yeah.
partying. I don't remember. Hey, it launched with the show. It launched with Dustin Dolan, first episode.
I thought it was Cardiel.
No, Dustin.
Really, Dustin Dolan. Okay.
I filmed a couple first, and I think I filmed Billy Rohan first.
Wow.
And so we did a Billy Rohan episode as like a pilot, but then we launched with Dustin Dolan, and Billy's was maybe like the fourth.
Nice.
Just saved it a little bit.
Yeah.
But we had a different concept going, and we were going to think of a new name for it, and we couldn't think of a name. And then they were like, just call it Epicly Later'd.
Did you know what you were getting yourself into at that time? In terms of like, this is it like I said before, it got to be one of the biggest things in skateboarding, and you were covering the biggest skateboarders around.
Like
No,
at the
I
time,
just-
too, yeah.
I was picturing it like Skate TV on Nickelodeon. Like we're going to do skits. We're going to Zoo York to look how boards are made.
Oh, you had a whole different idea for this.
A little more Skate TV.
That was a time. Skate TV definitely had a moment.
And then, so Dustin Dolan's is a little like, we're going to the store to buy pants, and then we're going to a bar, and then we're going to get a tattoo. It was just kind of like, and
Those things all seem like Dustin Dolan would do in a regular day.
Yeah, it was like day in a life.
Yeah,
Like we're just
yeah.
doing a day in a life, and like a 411 Skate TV kind of thing. And then I did Dills.
Oh, here you are right here.
Oh God.
Probably coming out of the bar right here.
I was gonna say that was the pants store, which we go to. It was called Trash and Vaudeville, and this guy who worked there, Jimmy, I believe his name was. That guy.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny because he appears in Jim Greco's episode, we go back to the same store.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Now you have relationships with all these people, right? I mean, you went on the first Baker tour.
Yeah.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
And you went on Baker tours after that, which I heard kind of sparked the whole Epicly Later'd thing. Is that true? Like just being on Baker tours and stuff?
So I happened upon the Baker tour. They were in Philly.
Okay.
And I just was like, you guys don't have a photographer? Can I come? And it turned out they didn't even have room in their van for their team. Like they just met in Philly. It started in Philly. And so then they needed me to come in order to put more people because they couldn't fit everyone in the van.
Right.
So in my car, I had Terry Kennedy, Knox Godoy, and Evan Hernandez.
You had the kids table.
I had the kids table.
Okay.
And then I had
They said,
oh
"Here,
yeah, it
you
was the
go."
worst. It was the worst. And then I was in the kids' room.
No.
Oh,
And
wow.
one night they were torturing me so much. Somebody, Knox Godoy or somebody put like shaving cream in my suitcase.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
yeah,
you put,
I was getting bullied by the little kids.
oh,
Amazing.
yeah.
And so then I wrote the article, and I was again I was pretty like average skate photographer, but I really liked the telling the story. I was like, this is insane. These dudes are insane. This is different.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Big Brother magazine when it started, and I was kind of inspired by this idea that that you're like you're gonna tell the story. You're the lens. You're kind of like I'm the average person, and I'm with these interesting people, and I'm gonna communicate the story.
I'm here to tell it. Yeah.
Right. So I went on the trip and I talked so much shit on them. Oh, because Reynolds was drinking and was in the hotel lobby crying and got in a fight. And Jay Strickland called him Buzzkill Chick Salt Cop Magnet. And I would put that in the story, like, oh, Reynolds was crying and then this happened.
Oh,
and
no.
these kids. And I thought Andrew was going to be mad at me. And I saw him at Tampa because I didn't know him that well. I saw him at Tampa and I was like a little nervous, like this dude's going to be pissed because I was like airing him out. And he's like, I love that article. That was the sickest. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And then he started bringing me on everything. Because
Wow.
he just liked the story.
Do you even know if he read it or he just liked the photos?
I think he liked because I think
The truth?
because Andrew I think is like me. Like Andrew told me that he's boring. Andrew's like, I'm boring, and if I hung out with 20 more of me, it would be boring. So I just grab fun people and crazy people and people with weird looks and stuff, and that's who I want around me. And I feel a little bit the same way.
Okay. Okay. So that Baker tour, and you went on many other Baker tours, but that got you, I mean, I could see where an idea of like filming all this would come into play, of like doing a story about Dustin and a story about Ellington and all these people.
Because sometimes when I was shooting skate photos,
Or Greco.
I
should say.
distinctly remember sitting at the bottom of some stairs and being bored. Like, oh, this is like annoying. And I remember Beagle even getting bummed at me, like, you don't seem like you are that stoked on this. Like, don't you get stoked? Like, I remember shooting something. I remember thinking it was kind of not that interesting.
Okay.
It's like 3 a.m. and you're just like in piss. And I just remember thinking like, yeah, I guess I'm not that passionate about the action aspect of this.
Mm-hmm.
But I was passionate about the
Storytelling.
And so when I got the opportunity to do the show, and there were other documentary type shows that I watched, and I love like documentaries, that some of the early ones were a little superficial, but I think it was the Jason Dill one, which was maybe like the 4th or 5th one. I called World Industries and was like, is it okay if I use this footage from like a 101 video? And they were like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And this was before YouTube. So I was thinking, nobody's seen, like, we're going to digitize this VHS tape and we're going to sprinkle it over him talking. And I didn't know that we were allowed, like, that was something that we could do. And then that changed the direction of the show. It's like, I'm allowed to use this stuff. And all the companies were just like, sure, use whatever you want.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the Wild Wild West back then, right? I mean, even for music,
What about when you were filming things? Was it like literally you filming and asking questions, or do you have someone filming for you?
Well, that episode that we just showed, Bill Strobeck was filming.
Okay.
So Bill Strobeck filmed some of the early ones. But I think Vice didn't want to pay any budget. Like my show, they weren't that, I don't know, it was hard to get budget.
were you getting paid?
Yeah, I got to pay
Okay.
when it came out. But they weren't giving me a production budget.
So they're paying you for just the final product. You got to flip the bill for everything.
I mean, they paid Bill, but maybe it was like $200 or something. And it was a barrier to get them made. So they gave me a little camera with a little lav mic, and I just would start shooting as best I could.
Okay.
So that's why I can't really watch a lot of the episodes. I'm embarrassed by how they're shot sometimes, but the editors did an amazing job of turning it and of polishing it into something really great.
So you would film it. You would give all this stuff to the editors. Were you working closely with the editors? Like,
Yeah.
hey, we need to get this video on top of this. You were directing it, so to speak.
Sometimes, I don't know. I was lucky. There's this woman named Lauren Cinnamon who was our editor, and she was a genius. And she would, I think, if I tried to direct, she'd just kick me out of the room.
Because like skedaddle.
Because there were times where I'm too stoked on the source material. There was a point we did the Cardiel episode, right? And it's like, oh, you got to talk about the drop in on Burnside. You got to talk about the gold rail. You got to talk about Ali Miley. You got to talk about this one slam. And she's just like, can you just pick one? Like, we're not going to talk. We can't make this that long. You just got to. Basically, she wasn't a skater. She wasn't as like
invested in that sense.
Right. And so she made smart decisions, because I think if it was up to me, because I think the Dustin Dolan episode, I tried to edit it a little myself.
Okay.
And I end up with a 3-hour thing. And they can be like, I can turn this into a solid 5 minutes, 8 minutes.
Interesting.
Because it left up to me.
Well, you kind of need that, but at the same time, you're leaving so much out.
Right. But I think it worked for us
Yeah.
because people wanted more at the end.
True.
So
Yeah,
they were
true.
like, oh, I can't wait till next week. I'll watch some more.
Definitely.
And did you have it in your mind maybe like, hey, I can go follow up with Dustin Dolan. I can go follow up with Cardiel. We could do a number 2 and number 3.
Yeah. And I wanted it to be weekly. To this day, right now, I want it to be weekly. I would still be doing them weekly. So I was like, oh, this could be something where we just pop in on people every week. Kind of like your show.
Sure.
Show. But that, I was like, this could be a weekly thing.
Did you have to get the okay for them to like, cool, we're going to do a Josh Kalis episode for like, we're going to do like 6 of them?
No,
Like-
they didn't. They didn't know who any skaters were. So I felt like I could have made somebody up.
Oh, wow.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, seriously.
You should have done that.
But you said you did like an 8-minute one at first with Dustin Dolan. When was the decision like, oh, I'm going to do a bunch of series?
I think they were getting lots of views, and it was one of the more viewed shows on their
Yeah.
site. So they were like, well, people are watching. Let's let them. Because I think there were a lot of times where they're like, these need to be 3 minutes. These
It was
then-
kind of the formula back then too, though. It was a
So that's-
short form.
That's why we chopped them up. So Cardiel was like an hour and 20 minutes, and it was like 16 parts or something insane. And like
Broken up over each week.
yeah, so each part was 5 minutes. Maybe not 16 parts, maybe
The total was an hour and 20 minutes?
hour and 20 minutes, just maybe 16 is wrong. Maybe it was 8. I don't know, but it was chopped into 6-minute parts.
That's crazy.
That is insane.
I mean, to think about that now, because there is a balance between, right, it's short form and long form. They both go if they're good, right? I mean, Vice have been putting stuff out on the website, like the new, the Muska episode, and they've been like re-uploading stuff.
But I'm like looking at how that interview on the couch is shot. Like I'm sitting there with like the camera in my lap and it's shaking.
Yeah.
And I think there's a few shots where I do the white balance while he's talking. And the editors just covered it all up. And I guess Cardiel's so engaging you don't notice. But sometimes I watch these, I'm like, couldn't you get a tripod or?
But that's what's
try?
so raw about it, though, bro. I think
That's what
that's
people
like the
like.
best. I think, especially now in hindsight, like that's the core thing about it, and I think that's what people really enjoy. You know what I mean? Especially in that time.
Yeah, because it's like we're in John's living room.
right.
We're fishing around in his basement. I'm just following him around with the camera.
Yeah, you feel like a fly on the wall.
Yeah. I feel like the
Exactly.
person getting interviewed feels more comfortable.
And
They're-
also,
yeah.
I mean, there's huge television shows now that do handheld, shaky stuff. Curb Your Enthusiasm, Arrested Development, like all these shows now.
For sure.
They just have bad camera ups.
Because sometimes I think Cardiel, I think somebody should remake this. Like, Cardiel's so amazing, and I did my best. And we filmed this. This is over the course of a week. Like, he flew to SF, literally spent one day with him, and then one day I got Julian and Phelps. maybe Mickey or somebody, you know. And then I can't remember who else in this supporting. You saw that it showed Danny Way. Danny Way was like over the phone. I just did my best.
Killed it, bro.
But part of me is like, oh, maybe somebody should. Enough times passed that a feature-length Cardiel documentary could.
Would you ever want to do something
That's
like
about to
that?
say, why don't you do that?
Oh, I
bro?
would do it.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying.
What
Somebody.
I mean, you have. I mean, were you just getting people to? Were you just cold calling people, or were you using?
I got since I had Dill and so I guess it was Dustin, then Spanky, maybe then Dill, Billy Rohan, and maybe Reynolds. I called him, and I'd never met John, but I called him. I was like, hey, can I do an episode of my show? And he said that. He's like, well, if you did one on Reynolds, it must be good. He hadn't even watched it.
Amazing.
He just referenced that Reynolds did it, so he'd do it.
That's what's so
Gotcha.
sick about skaters. Like they'll gauge on who did it to know. Like, oh, okay, that sounds cool then.
And I don't
So
think
you had to stamp early on.
Yeah, I don't think he knew how. Not that it was definitive, but that we were coming over to make like an hour and a half long thing.
Right.
It just, we just started rolling and got what we got. But Cardiel can sustain an hour and a half.
Sure.
Yeah.
What? So you said the editors. You handed it off to an editor.
Yeah.
Did the editor skate at all?
No.
So I'm pretty impressed by like how the old footage you got, and you gave them everything, and they put it together pretty damn on
Editors
point.
are storytellers, also,
Definitely. I
right?
was just
They
gonna
work
say
as
that.
like almost directors.
And I had a
themselves.
team. There was a guy named Chris Grosso who had all the tape. He came in one time and just brought in all the VHSs, and so he became in charge of archival.
Wow.
So I would go film, and then I would hand it to him. He would look at all the archival, all the skate mags, all the videos, and then she would edit, and then I would be out on the road shooting.
Accumulating.
And obviously, you'd get the final say on the edit, maybe make some changes here and there. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But usually they did such a good job. It was just like, oh, damn. All right, we killed it.
Man, it must have been
That's
nice
right.
to have a team like that, like early on. And
Yeah.
imagine if you had to do everything yourself. If you had to do the thing, edit it, get the archivals, like your once a week is
I think if
No
I did
more.
it myself, they would be way longer, and maybe people, sometimes you open a YouTube and it says like an hour and a half, and you go, ah.
Yeah.
every time I see our show on there, I'm like, oh my God, 3 hours. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I know, yeah. But back then, no. But now, yes, though. A
Depends who
3 hour
it is.
Cardiel would just
Yeah.
be, it would,
Yeah,
it
it definitely
would go.
depends on who it is, for sure.
Epicly Later started to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Obviously, they're starting to break them up into sections. Like, I don't know how much they're paying you back then to drop off an episode to them, but is at any point they're like, are you just kind of like, hey, I need to get paid more. This is, I'm your guys' best show.
Yeah, my beef about money was just, I didn't need, the work was its own reward for the stuff I wanted to do. Like, I wasn't really nickel and diamond about a Cardiel episode, but sometimes somebody from like the business side would be like, hey, so we've been talking, I mean, I guess I can air it out. I don't know. But they'd be like, hey, I've been talking to Nike, and they want to do one where Paul Rodriguez looks at the material that went into the shoe. Would you be interested in going down and talking with the designers about the shoe? And I was like, how much money do I get?
Right.
And they were like, what do you...
You still get your same flat rate.
You still get your rate. And I was like, if you guys are doing that, I want a piece. And there were a few episodes where they were getting annoyed with me because I wouldn't do... Because I was like, why would... Like, I'm passionate about a Cardiel or a Jason Dill or a Gino Iannucci. I'm like, this is what I want to be doing. Why would I take a break from that for the same money to some... Not that I have anything against P-Rod, but it was like the shilling product side.
Right.
That I'd be like, and that happened a number of times. They'd be like, and I would always ask for a cut, and they would just deny me.
They're showing their cards. It's like, what do you like? You know what they're doing. So it's like, hey,
Right.
That's why you're saying what you're saying. It's like, come on, man.
And then, yeah. So that was the only financial beef. Is I just wanted to, I mean, you know what it is. You do it for free if it's what you love.
Totally. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Again, I can't even stress how amazing the Epicly Later'ds were. And again, they were just a fly on the wall type thing. And I think that's what drew people in, because back then we didn't really get to see our favorite skaters in the light that you showed them.
No.
And I think that is really like what made it special, you know?
Yeah, I think skaters. I wanted at one point. I want to do this with musicians or something like this with artists, whoever, actors. People are so guarded, and skaters aren't. Maybe some are now, but
I feel even back then they were guarded though. They weren't doing as. They weren't putting themselves out there.
I don't know, but none of them seemed to give a shit. I would just show up with a camera, drive around in the car, and nobody seemed to be editing or worrying about it.
Right.
Because they're in their space, though,
But also,
in their comfort zone.
I also picked people though that I knew
Yeah.
that it would be good. Like Dill
Is unfiltered.
You're gonna get.
You're gonna get some stuff.
No one's really doing that though at all. If you really think about it, who was really going around filming these pro skaters? Like behind, not just
Back then.
skating. Just skating is different, but like behind the scenes.
Because we're also talking about this is 2007 is when it started.
Yeah, when it came out, I started thinking about the thing I was thinking about previous was on video. Was kind of doing. We had skate docs. So I felt like when we started, I was like an on video shadow.
Interesting, but
So
they were more
understandable.
polished though.
Yeah.
I get points for it being janky.
I think so. No, in the beginning, I think so.
But they were like super. Yeah, it was definitely more polished. Of like, there's a narrator over it telling certain facts. That it was like you were just showing facts, and the person you were interviewing was telling you everything.
Pause podcast.
Okay.
I need to tell you guys that this episode is brought to us by Athletic Greens.
Ooh, we love athletic greens.
We do.
This is gold in a box, right? Love this stuff. With one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and Kelly's favorite thing in the whole world, adaptogens.
I love
There it is.
adaptogens.
This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging.
Well, not only that,
Ooh, tell me, Drone.
contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good.
Nothing budget, only buttery, right?
Nothing budget,
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
But it also supports better sleep quality and recovery as well.
Tons of people take multivitamins, but it's important that you choose one with high quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb.
And it's also better when not to have a full medicine cabinet full of, supplements.
Oh, man.
You know,
Wait, so I can get rid of all my supplements?
Yeah, I was just over at Kelly's house the other day, opened the cap. I was hit with supplements.
Get the trash can.
Yeah.
Throw them in there.
To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is just visit athleticgreens.com/9club. That's NINECLUB. Again, athleticgreens.com/9club. Take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance today,
There
which
it
is
is.
Athletic Greens.
Take over your health now.
But also, your show became polished, though.
Yeah, so if we're skipping ahead, the ones on television, they did the Viceland TV channel.
The Michael,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just,
We did 8, I think 8, and it was a whole different thing.
right.
And
I mean,
that-
they had producers,
A team.
sound people. And this was the first one was Barcelona, right? Bam.
Bam, yeah. And we had a team, and we had music. So all the Epicly Later'd, there's almost no music in the entire thing. Like Cardiel has the Bad Shit song, or there's music here and there.
Sure.
But
That's something you had to fight for.
I did have to fight for it, and Spike Jonze backed me up. I was like, because I thought the music was cheesy, because sometimes skating, when you would watch X Games or something, they would really try to sell the lifestyle, like we're rap and punk and I don't know, like sell it as this like edgy thing, and I felt like let's take the skating serious, like let's treat it as like sports and not as, I don't know, let's treat this like baseball or fine art or something. And I thought the music could kind of be cheesy.
Cornify it almost.
A little bit, yeah. Because they had music in it. And then I went in and I kept being like, oh, let's just not have music. And then Spike, a separate meeting, because suddenly I met with the editors and they were like, hey, guess what? No music. And it turns out it's Spike, without me there, had said, yeah, no music on this.
And did you even know Spike?
No, I had one meeting with him. And I was scared. I went in the office and Jesse, who was like my boss, brought Spike in to talk. And I don't think I had a moment to like fan out or say I knew who he was or anything.
Okay.
As a skate nerd, I was honestly blown away as you could be.
Sure.
As intimidated and excited to meet somebody.
But he's such a little sweetheart, dude.
He really
Like,
is, man.
I just was sat there on the couch scared and then, like, I don't remember the conversation. I just was, he's
There's
like,
a blackout moment.
yeah, I feel like we all have, I guess I feel like was exactly the kind of person I would look up to, or his trajectory would be, I mean, not that it's even comparable or possible, but you just look at him as that's the person.
right.
Like that's my number one person I looked up to in skate photography. I like the same music. All the music videos he'd drop was like music I liked,
Right.
down to Sonic Youth or the Breeders or whatever. So anyway, I was just completely, almost horrified to meet him. Just starstruck.
Sure.
And then he was the boss on the show, and
He agreed that no music.
he agreed no music. And then I probably didn't see him again, for a long time. But he would be behind this, whatever.
I love
How'd you find that
though.
out? You found that out after the fact?
Someone just told me. They were like,
Okay.
"Oh yeah, Spike came in and said take the music off."
Which is a breath of fresh air to you because you didn't even want the music.
Yeah.
So now you had this verification from Spike Jonze.
Yeah.
I think when you're editing, it's easier to have music and make a little montage than it is to like string out a story
Right.
of like with talking.
You could kind of patch things up a little bit, cover it up,
Yes.
add some little sprinkles.
Yeah, you just put like a Led Zeppelin song and some skating and
Yeah.
whatever.
Like we could add a Led Zeppelin song to this and have us just
Yeah.
kind of like doing
Make it
different
work.
moves, right?
Yeah.
Was there a different work ethic going into it when it was a bigger show?
Yeah, we went.
More pressure.
Well, one like you were saying, how I could have made up a pro. They had to. I had to come up with a list of the skaters we were going to do, and they really went over it.
Oh yeah.
Comb like, oh, we don't think this skater. We do think this skater, and so that was new.
How are they?
They
How are they
had-
dictating that? Were they
They're
even
just
skaters?
looking at Google numbers and
Oh,
shit,
yeah.
probably.
Yeah, I came in, but it was also because with the show, sometimes there were shorter episodes. A skater maybe you would have trouble making a 50-minute episode. I think an hour's 50. So I remember getting to the end of BAM's and thinking, oh, his could be 2 hours. And then
He's accomplished a lot.
and then there's a couple that felt like we were stretching it to get to the moment. And then it was hard because I feel like right now I would do an episode on, say if I was like, I'm going to do one on Ocean Howl. It'd be sick, but it would probably be like
Short.
10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Not, and I'm not trying to diss Ocean Howl, but I'm
No,
just
I know
saying
what you
there was sometimes there's more skaters that were amazing and had a moment. But I just remember feeling it was the Harmony Korine episode. I remember feeling like, also because we couldn't get the rights to use Gummo, like the
Scenes from the movie?
yeah, we couldn't use scenes from the movie. So then all of a sudden it started to get paint. We couldn't figure out how to get it to 50 minutes. Whereas BAM's could have gone longer.
Yeah.
Harmony's,
was it because he was younger also, or was
Who's
he
that?
Harmony Korine, or was he older at that point? I forget.
no, it was just because we just had the idea. I just wanted to do, like I was saying, how I wanted to do episodes on different types of people, like say musicians and stuff. I just thought it would be a fun ride, especially how I look up to Spike for all the films he's made. And all
Sure.
I look up to Harmony in the same way.
Got you. Okay.
But it ended up being a stretch to get it to, and then it became the season finale because we were fighting with whoever owns Gummo, and it ended up being the season finale. But
They just probably wanted too much money, huh?
I don't remember.
It's like, you just want a clip for the movie. Gosh.
I know.
And I remember we shot all our music budget on Spikes because we needed a Beastie Boys. We needed
Spike couldn't pull any strings right there.
I mean, come on,
Come on,
bro.
Spike.
Come on,
I
bro.
can't remember what music, but it was all the music videos he did.
Right.
So
Which
then we
isn't
had
a lot.
We had to pay.
Yeah.
So that episode had Yeah, I don't know, Sonic Youth, the Beastie
Mm-hmm.
Boys, the Breeders, and we just like dropped it all in, and that was the budget for the whole season.
I definitely want to go back to the older Epicly Later'ds if you don't mind, but since we're on the new stuff too, when they got into the new stuff, did you get a pay raise? Are we talking more money now, or are we talking like?
Yeah, a little bit more.
Okay,
I mean, I don't know. It wasn't crazy.
gotcha.
I remember they had in my contract that it said I got an extra $500 if I appeared on camera.
Why?
I don't know, but I was like, all right, I guess I'm doing intros because I tried to weasel out. I tried to weasel out a lot of the intro, like the Cardiel. I don't do the intro, and there's a few Ali Boulalas I don't do an intro because I felt real self-conscious about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was good because it gave continuity to the show,
For sure.
but I'm uncomfortable on camera. I'm like sweating right now. So I'm uncomfortable. And I remember that $500 was enough for. I was like, all right, 500 bucks.
Let me set the camera up.
Unbuckling
Here
for
we
that.
go. Little intro. That's funny, man. So did you also, I heard that you also had a stipulation in the contract where they couldn't fire you from your own show.
Oh, it was just when the show started, since it was named after my blog,
Right.
I hired an entertainment lawyer to write me up a contract that said that, because I was worried about the name. If we had called it Skateboard Showcase or whatever, I wouldn't have cared.
Right.
Not that I was planning to do anything with it, but
But this is,
I
I like that though.
I just was thinking. So I had an entertainment lawyer do the contract, and then they just said, "Sure." Like he wants the. So it was that they couldn't do a show called Epicly Later'd without me.
got you.
So it was kind of funny because I felt like it a few times. Like say when I wouldn't do the materials in the Nike shoe episode, they were.
Their hands were tied.
Well, they were. Yeah, they probably would have fired me because there were some other shows that I think the original creators got pushed out so they could do like Toyota Presents.
So
whatever.
you've heard of this happening in the past, so you're just like, you know what, I'm gonna get ahead of this
He protected
in
himself.
case
That's
it
great.
does happen. No,
Right,
that's great.
And then it was funny because I'm
amazing.
making a book about my blog, and we were going to call it Epicly Later'd, and I wasn't sure whether I was allowed to. And then I went somehow in my computer, I finally found the contract, and one of the carve outs was a book in the contract, and I was like, oh, that was smart.
I'm already good. I'm already good.
Wow.
Like I could make T-shirts, and I think it was merch, and which I'm never going to make
Merch in a
T-shirt
book. So you can't,
I can make a book. So
Yeah,
Right,
it
yeah,
was
yeah,
going to
yeah.
be called Epicly Later'd because
but we can't make a new series called Epicly Later'd.
I couldn't. I don't think. I mean, maybe now they're bankrupt. I could. Like if Thrasher was like too epically latered, maybe I could. But I haven't.
Because if Vice is going bankrupt, I mean, if they're selling to somebody else, then that I could see that as a
I
problem.
think
But if they're just
that might be you're open for sure. I mean, I don't know guaranteed, but I think that there is something there that like
I wonder.
you should probably move on if you
Like
want.
if I did a podcast called Epicly Later'd, would they come after me?
I think it'd be
wonder.
fine.
I think
mean,
so, dude.
why? Well, we know Spike, right?
We'd call Spike.
Yeah.
Wait, so you sold it to them?
No. I'm just saying we signed contract that I think kind of married ourselves to each other.
Okay. Yeah.
So they couldn't steal it from me, but I probably couldn't take it from them.
I said you have to look in the fine print to see if that's
Yeah,
the case.
I can't read a contract. I just hired a guy.
Hire
to
somebody
do
to
it.
do it. Yeah.
Well, let's contact that same guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. It's just listen.
I remember I think I had to pay something. It came out, with the lawyers, it came out to like 5 Gs or something. And in 2007 money, which
Wow.
is like $1 million now.
Yeah, totally.
And I had to, I remember thinking like a first couple episodes, like, oh, I'm still paying off that, I'm paying off the lawyer.
So since it went bankrupt, I mean, they're shutting their doors essentially. I don't know the full story behind what's going on over there, but you recently had posted on your Instagram that they have all the tapes.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying, like, how do you personally feel about all this? Like, this
I
is
was
your
happy they had the tapes because I wasn't planning to do anything with them necessarily. I don't want to like.
There's
I mean,
probably so much footage on those tapes
There is.
that never saw the light of day.
and one of the things is, I didn't think about it at the time. I mean, so many people have like passed away.
True.
So it's, a 5-hour Dylan interview of like 2 days with Jake Phelps in the car, where we used a little bit of it, but like,
Oh, there's probably so much good stuff.
and I just didn't want to. So, I did an interview with Jen Gum and was like, yeah, I don't know where the tapes are. And then I was motivated to email Vice, somebody at Vice, and be like, "Hey, do you have the tapes?"
So they had the tapes.
They
had
have all.
them.
They had the pictures, all the tapes.
Yep, yep.
Because later I started shooting digital files, so that those tapes are a certain era where it was on tape. Later it became like memory cards, which I'm sure are archived as well. But I remember zooming in on the picture, and part of me is like, "Can you FedEx the tapes to me?" But I only want them just so that they're safe, not necessarily to like.
But listen, if the this is just me talking out loud, but I mean, if the opportunity arises to get those tapes, and like you said, like Dylan Reeder footage, like Jake Phelps stuff, like even probably like Antwuan and Baker stuff, like that's history, man. That's skateboarding history, dude. You could put something together.
I had a dream at a point of re-editing them all chronologically, so that it would be. So all the episodes are edited by person, zoomed in on a person. I was like, what if we re-edited them chronologically through like a history of skating and not just like
Have them intertwined.
Oh wow!
Right, but then when I look at the tapes, some of it's embarrassing. I get real self-conscious about some of the old tapes, and I had an experience. So I don't rewatch them. Like we put them out, and I'm really excited by them. I remember I would watch them like 6 times, like not just in the edit, but when they finally dropped, I'd watch them over and over and over. And then once they were a couple days old, I never look at them again. And I was at Ali Boulala when we filmed Ali Boulala. He said his favorite skater was Mike Carroll. So he's like, "Oh, Mike Carroll's my favorite skater. Let's watch the Mike Carroll Epicly Later'd." And he put it on, this huge flat screen. And I was like, it was filmed so shitty. It sucked. Like, I don't know. I had to go into the other room and was like getting really almost like upset watching it. Because in my memory, it's an amazing episode and I crushed it and did a good job. But when I am faced with the reality,
but that's your critic. Bro.
Yeah,
bro. That's what
it's like a
true
skater
shining
looking
moment.
at his old shit, like, could have done better. Could have filmed a better part.
Yeah.
That part wasn't done yet.
Yeah.
You know.
Was there any episodes that never came out?
there was a few kind of false start episodes.
Yeah.
You know, where we like tried and I'm trying to think of some examples.
Just didn't go anywhere.
You would do it on like certain teams, but also obviously people.
Mm-hmm.
So which one was there? Certain teams that didn't make the cut, not make the cut, but you just never ended up making the whole episode, or
There was a couple. Yeah, I don't know. Usually I would start to try to vet it before we started because I made the mistake of shooting and then finding out that the person had these boundaries that would make it weird or things they didn't want to talk about or things. So I would kind of sometimes if an idea for an episode came out, I would kind of talk to them first and make sure we were on the same page.
Right.
before starting to work on it. Yeah. But what was there
I feel
anyone
like
specifically? Was there any team or anyone specifically that didn't end up going through?
Yeah, for that season, I wanted to do a Grayson Fletcher episode, and we filmed with him for a day or two
Yeah.
because I thought his family and his history, and not just skating but surfing, and I guess his grandfather, and some of them skated the first backyard pools ever, and then it just didn't work out.
Damn.
And there were a couple where we would. I mean, there's tons where you like ask people and they say no.
Which is astonishing, right? Because like you would think that Epicly Later'd, everybody would want to participate, you know?
Some people don't want to talk about themselves.
Tell their story.
Well,
yeah.
it's true. I mean,
you know?
we just touched on just people not wanting to touch on certain aspects, you know, and that's, we experience that here, you know, which is, I feel the pain. It's very frustrating.
Do people go, okay, these are the questions you're not allowed to ask?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
'Cause I had
Yeah.
that. There was a pro skater. I don't want to say their name because then I'd be airing the exact same thing.
I get you.
But there was a skater that I think is like a fascinating, interesting pro skater, former pro skater. And he wanted to do an episode. So I met up with him somewhere and was like, hey, so do you want to talk about how you became a drug addict and like went to jail and like all this shit? And they were like, no, like I don't want to talk about that. So then I was thinking from a storytelling, how do I explain why you're not a pro skater anymore?
And how do you explain to the audience that you just skipped over this huge part of their life?
Right. Because
True.
so I just thought, okay, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I don't even think I said it. Maybe I just ghosted them and was just like, oh, this isn't going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when, say for instance, Ali Boulala DM'd me about his episode, I mean, I had to be like, are you going to talk about Shane Cross and
Right.
almost dying and him dying. And he was like, yes. So I was like, all right, we'll
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
I understand because we kind of go through the same thing here. Some things aren't as big a deal as like that. You know, you're just like, oh, you don't want to talk about that, really? Like, okay, whatever. And then you hear about it in the comments, like they didn't ask about. But some things are huge, where you're like, really? If you don't talk about that, we can't. What are we doing here?
Yeah. Especially if it's like a major part that, you know, that people are almost expecting you to talk about.
100%.
You know? Yeah. I think that's when it gets a little like,
It's
Yeah.
it's tough because sometimes people
Little murky.
expect things. I remember a couple where people expect things that I felt were too inside baseball. They'd be like, why doesn't he talk about why he doesn't skate for Thunder Trucks anymore? And you're like, does anyone,
Oh, God.
you know, things like
No
that.
one
that's not what
cares.
this is about, bro.
Yeah, you don't skate for.
Did you show it
Pack Company?
every episode of the person? Did you show it to him?
No,
Never showed it to him
Ali
beforehand.
Boulala.
we tried to avoid it.
But did you have anyone being like
Yeah, we had some people that would demand to see it.
in this?
We tried to swerve it as best we could.
Yeah. Was there anyone that wasn't happy with their episode?
Yeah, I had people mad at me.
Really?
A number of people.
But they're on. How much can you tell without them? I mean, are you what?
I've just had people that I feel like watched it and maybe there was a backlash or maybe they didn't like how and then blamed me that maybe I cut it to make them look bad. Which I would say I didn't do that,
Right.
but
Plus, you weren't editing, right?
I wasn't editing, but I'm just saying.
But at the end of the day, it's his show. He's in control.
No,
right?
I
That's-
totally get that. But,
But I just think there were some times where maybe it's putting a mirror up to somebody. That's my opinion that they didn't like what they saw.
Right.
But definitely had people mad at me.
I've heard.
And I've had people that were referenced, so somebody would talk about that person, and then that person would be mad. I mean, that's how the Josh Kalis episode happened. And I
How
don't,
so?
I don't feel so. Some of the episodes, I don't want to say what people are mad about or
Gotcha, yeah.
what people didn't want to talk about because then I'm just airing it now.
Patrick, that's why you're here, man. Come on, we got to talk about it.
But the Dill one was that Dill. Now I'm confused about the
upriver?
metaphor.
The- yeah, the
upriver,
upstream,
downriver,
upstream.
upriver, downriver.
Yeah. Or yeah.
And he referred to the Alien Workshop team and said some of us are upriver, some of us are downriver.
That's what it was, yeah.
Which I don't know what that means, but Josh Kalis did not like what Dill said.
Got you.
So then Kalis DM'd me, mad, and I was like, "Well, do you want to do an episode?" Perfect.
yeah.
And so then I got a Kalis episode.
Well, I think it's funny because like we've kind of gotten that a little bit where somebody says something and they hit up. We're like, well, they said it. What are you talking? Like,
right.
what do
Yeah.
we?
Why are you mad at us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so But at the you got a Josh Kalis.
Yeah,
episode.
someone was mad once because I was just giggling next to the person saying mean stuff, and they're right. You know, it was somebody talking trash, and I'm just sitting next to him like,
Oh.
Do you have a favorite episode? I mean, that's
Yeah.
So, you do.
well, no, not a number one.
Okay.
But like I have maybe a 5 or
Top
something.
5.
But usually my favorites are the ones where I really like the person, and I also feel like I don't know if they're underrated, but you know, when I put out like say Eric Costin, he's already highly rated. People already really like him. That I didn't. I mean, I liked the episode, but I didn't feel like I was sort of championing somebody that didn't get like a fair shake.
Okay.
And I felt like when I remember when I did Eric Dressen's, I would tell people, like, what are you working on, Eric Dressen? And I'd be like, oh, really? Like, I don't know, maybe he wasn't getting the...
He's a legend.
Yeah.
right to
yeah.
us, but I just felt like... So I'm not saying I did anything for his career or anything, but I just mean when I put it out, I was proud to sort of give him a voice or
Yes.
Yeah.
show this guy that I'm really stoked on that maybe people forgot. Like people didn't realize like he's pro in 77. He was skating in like banana board era pro.
Pro.
Then ripping in 80s era doing like airwalks off launch
Killing
ramps.
it.
Then killing it in street. Like we have footage of all the impossible over hydrant and then even now still relevant. Like we're filming and he's skating, doing shit,
Yeah.
tattooing people, like
Amazing.
people are still. So it got to the end, and I was like, I'm doing a real valuable service to skating to remind everyone how sick Eric Dressen is.
Definitely.
100%.
And I felt that way with the Alyssa Steamer.
Nice.
Not that people forgot. I don't know. Well, to us, we didn't forget about her, but it was like, at the end, I just felt like happy. I was like,
Well,
Yeah.
she was
Yeah.
huge part of the women's movement in skating, you know?
Big time.
So,
so Dressen, Alyssa, Ali Boulala, I was really happy about because Ali Boulala was somebody I would have put on the. I just loved Ali Boulala. Like
Right.
as a pro, as a person, he was like a skate deity or something. You see him. I remember just seeing him at the airport or something before I knew him and be like, oh my God, it's Ali. And then when I
Yeah.
became friends with him, I was like almost like starstruck by him, even though he's probably younger than me. I was
Right.
still like starstruck by Ali.
He has
And
a
then-
presence, though, real talk.
he did, yeah.
And then when, when he accidentally killed somebody,
Right.
I mean, that's fucking horrible. And that's like ruined his life, of course. And I felt like,
Telling his story.
yeah, just because I knew what he was going through, that he got sober and he lives with it every day and he suffers. And I just felt like, not that you're telling his side, but some people did tell me, actually, some people I did talk to said they felt like fuck Ali Boulala.
Right.
Like, fuck that guy. And I would also think about how on skate tours, we go on skate tours, and there were so many times where people could die. Where you're just on a trip, people are fucking around with whatever, like things like that.
Sure,
Drinking
sure.
and driving or bullshit or like thrill seeking or whatever. And then that's one where someone did die.
Mm.
And I just knew how much Ali like suffered. And I just felt like I want to help. Or I don't know. I just want to tell that story.
Right.
And so anyway, I was.
And that was a heavy thing that the industry went through by
Big
losing
time,
Shane.
No.
Yeah. I think about when I first started skating, I don't think there were any dead pro skaters. I think Jeff Phillips was the first pro I ever heard of that died.
Right.
And when you get into other sports, everyone's gone.
Sure.
And skateboarding, I don't think.
Were you nervous?
Now we lose someone once a week.
Well, it's such
Yeah.
a small community too.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is
As
like,
the industry like grows and the rich history that it has, yes, we're going to start seeing that a lot more.
Were you nervous going into this episode? Like how it would be represented and how people will talk about it and how to go about interviewing someone like this?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was excited to go to Stockholm. There's a part of me that would like the vacation aspect.
Yeah.
So my friend Kai filmed it, and we stayed at Ali's house. He had a house with an extra bedroom, like a 2-bedroom house, and my friend Kai stayed on his couch, and I got the extra bedroom. And we were in Stockholm for like a week and a half, and I was excited about that aspect of it. And then we just slowly filmed. A lot of them, like say Cardiel's, I had like 2 hour, a couple hours with them, and we filmed it. With Ali, since we were at his house for a week and a half, I knew I could do an interview a day and save the heavy stuff for the end. And
maybe talk it through. Like, hey, today maybe we should do this or do that. I mean, are you having a storyboard lined up in your head of how all this stuff goes?
I don't know if I often physically like write out the story, but I have it like kind of mapped out what I want. And a lot of it, unfortunately, in some ways, is like a little formulaic at some point. You're like, okay, talk about how you first got skating, shop
Sure.
sponsor, video part, pros you met. Then,
But you have the luxury of editing all that stuff out and just getting to the juicy stuff as well.
So with Ali, we just, just film stuff every day.
Yeah.
And then tried to go skating with him, and he can't really skate. I think so I don't remember, like I said, I don't rewatch them, but I think we go skate this like skate park with like a ditch in Stockholm. It was a really sick park. It's like a downhill ditch you can like carve down. And I think we tried to film him do a kickflip, and I don't think he could do it.
Oh,
Does he?
I don't know. I'm not really sure.
I should have
watch
prepared
the
and
video.
watched my own shit. But I feel like we go try
there
to
it is right here.
we try to go kickflip, and he can't do it.
Because he got messed up in the accident as well.
Yeah, and let's see if he lands it. He can't really.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, but some people were talking about how sad this was, and to me, I didn't really think this was sad because not that I don't give a shit, but like his skateboard ability is like not that important to me as far as like his mental health. And when he got in the accident, I feel like, I mean, I don't know how to put this politely, but I don't think, like, he had really bad short-term memory. Like, we kept going to lunch, and he couldn't remember that we already went to the, like, he each time we went, he would tell us about the place. And he had great long-term memory, but I just think the accident is still, I mean, being in a coma for 6 months, that's like permanent
Damage.
Right. And so I feel like he's living a happy life. Like, he's got a girlfriend. It was great hanging out with him, but you know, he still like suffers from it.
How long after the accident did you do this?
Probably 10 years.
10 years.
Probably.
Okay. Wow. So even 10 years later. Wow. It's heavy stuff, man. It's heavy stuff. So there's Ali Boulala one. Is there anyone else? The one that always sticks out in my mind is like the Baker one, the Antwuan Dixon stuff like that. Those episodes are great. You know, you're smiling. I don't know.
Okay. Antwuan's was hard to like. He was like G.G. Allen or something.
Yeah.
Like really tough to be around.
Right.
Because he was just so like wild. Like when we were filming, we filmed him at the Phoenix Am or Phoenix contest, some Phoenix event. And I remember we were leaving, and as I was in the car driving, cop cars kept going the other way. Cops were coming trying to get us. And so I'm on the highway driving. I have like a migraine. I can't. And people are texting me like, hey, we switched hotels. Don't bring Antwuan to the new hotel. Because he he did something, and they were like, don't come to the new hotel.
Gotcha.
Like, we got new rooms. We've all been kicked out. Come to the new hotel. And I had to ditch him.
Wow.
Because I was like, well, I got to go back to my new hotel room.
I mean, he was just wilding out.
He was just wilding out. And then it was funny that the interview by the pool, that was that was like the sober interview.
Right.
There was like,
I mean, at this point in time, he is a mega star in the skate industry. You know?
yeah.
Mega. People love Antwuan.
I mean, I love this. And it was funny how polarizing the episode was, because I feel like some people, you know, were, I don't know, like bummed on him, or maybe he was starting to have like some repercussions. But other people looked at this as like this is like a cult hero.
Sure.
Because everyone, I mean, you know, you want to live your life with no rules, right? I mean, I couldn't. But, you know, he's not paying taxes or parking tickets or a PG&E bill. Like, he's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like freedom in some way.
Sure. But you're always going to get the two sides of the coin with anything you do, right? It's like people are going to say this or they're going to say that.
And Antwuan, how's he doing now?
He's killing it,
It
dude.
seems like he's big chilling, bro. Like, I've seen a lot of. It just seems like he's skating every day, and it seems like he's happy. So that's great.
So he was somebody that was like mad at me. Like,
Yeah.
he came out and he was mad at me. And I was scared because he said somewhere he was going to punch me or something. So I was
Right.
scared. But then I think I've DM'd with him a little bit. See, I don't have a show right now. But
Yeah.
He was like, maybe we'll film another one. And I was like, that would be amazing.
Sure.
I don't have a show, but if I did, I would do it.
No, he looks like he's doing great.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I'm
skating's
stoked to see
awesome.
it.
It looks like he's on point, and
Healthy as hell.
skateboarding loves to see it. That's for
For
sure.
sure.
I think sobriety is definitely helping him.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen, well, like what skaters came out with the same
here we go.
impact. Like when he was in that first Baker video that he was in, it was a little bit like Tom Penny or somebody, where someone's ahead.
Yeah.
I thought, like, I remember people going to the premiere and people were screaming at the screen.
Yeah.
Well, here's this dude, very nonchalant, shoulders down, arms down, just so relaxed, but just
Hardest tricks.
tricks, and just he looked great on his board. You're right; it was kind of a Tom Penny-esque like moment for sure.
There's only like sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, yeah, where someone comes out, and Tom Penny, where also you left wanting more. There was like
Yes.
a part with 6 tricks, and then they'll send it to the next guy, and you're like, what?
And that doesn't even happen that often. I mean, Gino Iannucci, you know, there's certain people.
I thought Guy Mariano was like
The
that.
guy
Not,
definitely got it for sure.
not like Guy Mariano banned this, but Guy Mariano, what was the video where maybe he did like a switch 360 flip or something, and he had like 3 tricks, and it was like a blind video.
blind video where you did a no slide down the with that little blind section.
No, that was Tim and Henry's.
It's Tim and Henry's.
You
Yeah.
just go like,
Pack of Lies.
you just go like, give me more of that, dude.
Right. For
Or
sure.
like you know, you get like PJ Ladd comes out, everyone goes nuts. Mike Moe comes out, everyone goes nuts.
Sure.
Brian Winning, those
But
type,
I don't
only
know
a
if
handful
they
of
have
guys.
that like Tom Penny-esque vibe though. Everybody goes
No,
nuts. But
I'll disagree with you on that. They definitely have style that sticks out, and the tricks are next level. But I mean, like they're not
instant
gonna have,
legends. Yeah.
like there's guys that come out that just go from 0 to next level, and he was definitely one of them.
This is
Yeah.
Yeah,
This-
this is the best shit ever,
a
bro.
Guy Mariano. Look at this. To me, he was very relatable because he was like my age.
Yeah.
That was the thing. I got banned this as one of my first skate videos.
Right.
And I remember he was my age, and I had the illusion of that I could like catch up. I was like,
I think we all
okay. He's like 13. I'm 13, or maybe he was like a year older than me. And I was like, okay, maybe about that. And he, you know, his part is like board slide, a double side curb, or do something, you know. And you're like, I'm gonna catch up. I'm gonna be a pro skater. I'm gonna catch up to Guy Mariano.
Meanwhile, he's filmed all that stuff like a year ago.
Yeah, just like- and it's like one day with Stacy Peralta with like a
Yeah.
16 millimeter from a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I did not catch up to Guy.
I don't think
Unfortunately,
any of us did.
Right.
You
This is
know,
what I was thinking of.
to ban this.
Like, oh, I can do a boardside fakie. I'm as good as
guy.
Guy.
Right.
And then the next part comes out. You're like, oh, I
You're
didn't-
like, never mind.
Yeah, I don't know.
Were
Should be
you
sponsored?
when you first started skating? Were you like, yeah, you were trying to be a pro skater, and did that? How long did that last before you got
in my head, I was trying to be a pro skater.
Yeah.
Like in my
your dreams?
dreams, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a pro skater.
But like
The
so-
reality of I wasn't even as good as like my friends.
Yeah. So you had a group of friends, and how did photography come into, like, did you end up shooting your friends as a kid?
Yeah, I think I liked photography anyway as like an interest.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, oh, like some filmers will be like, oh, I can't skate, I'll film.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I think I was interested in it anyway outside of it as like a separate hobby of mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I daydreamed about being a pro. Like I'm sure almost like
I think
all
every
skate-
single person
I still
does
do
almost.
that. Like, you know,
You could these days. There's look at Bale Gun Gary and
No
Ira.
doubt about
They're
that.
turning pro.
I think in my imagination, like when I go skate, in my imagination, I pretend it's 1984 and I'm like ripping. Like, oh, he kickflipped. He's amazing.
Tail slide on a red curb, cover.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The one thing about your show, I think I mean that we all could take away from it, Epicly Later'd, was it gave us insight into that person. You know, I think a lot of the times when I was growing up, all I had was print magazines. Just I could read the interview, right? But it was then now you're giving that person that voice and that expression when they're telling the story. And that's why I love like the 9 Club, and you could either listen to it or you could see the person telling and see the emotion that's coming out of their face, you know? And I think that's one thing that your show did, you know, was
Another
brought
personality,
that skater to life, you know? So I think that's why everybody loved it, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Thank you for doing that. Honestly, that was really big for skateboarding.
Totally.
Yeah.
We're not just gassing you up
Yeah,
either.
but like, just know that
big,
you
it's big, man.
you're contributing to skateboarding. That's really,
This is true.
it's really,
Did you-
we all grateful for it.
And
so.
did you feel that way? I mean, when you're in the thick of it, maybe you don't see it, right? Until maybe later you could look back and be like, damn, I really did something nice there. Or good for skating, dude.
I don't know.
Outside, I mean,
I don't know. Sometimes it takes a little bit of a, because I remember at first I would go on like Slap message boards and read what they were saying about me.
okay.
Here's your
It's
first
just like,
mistake.
this dude's a fucking hipster douchebag, fucking whatever. And I would get like bummed,
Sure.
and I would start thinking about it. I'd go home and I would be like, oh, this guy thinks I suck.
That's an absolutely worst place that you should go to look at anything about yourself.
And I remember, I went to the Brooklyn Banks and I met these kids. So I pictured a Slap message board hater as like a really smart college professor that was really fucking tweed coat. And I went to the banks and these kids came up and they're like, I'm on Slap. And they were like kids.
Right.
And then I was talking to them and then they posted later. And I was like, oh, this is just chatter. I mean, it's good. It's there because I like it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for my like sanity, I had to learn like, oh, don't really like dive in
Yeah.
because you can see a bunch of shit you don't like. And
Especially when you're delivering episodes frequently. You're on there a lot.
so I stopped. So I got kind of, I remember I talked to Spanky about it. And he was like, "Oh, you should look me up." And everyone was like wrecking him. And then there was someone else I liked, and everyone was wrecking. And I was like, "Well, I like Spanky. Like,
Yeah.
he's fucking cool. He's like killing it. He's, you know, like I really admire and like him, and he's a great, kind person, funny. He's got all good qualities.
Totally.
And then people are like wrecking him on the internet. That it made me, and he just said that because he wasn't also Googling himself. And I remember that was like an epiphany. Like, oh, I don't know. They don't like Spanky either.
What's
so
the point?
fuck it.
Yeah.
Everybody gets wrecked, bro. Everybody.
So then and then it was funny because I meet people, and I remember their first, they would tell you like, oh man, everyone in the comments is wrecking me. And it would almost, at some point I got so immune to it that I was like, oh, it's your first time getting wrecked on the internet.
Yeah. That's cute.
Welcome.
But it is true though. I mean, throughout the whole of my career, you'd come out with something, and then you'd go on Slap, and to me it was funny because it's banter, it's chatter, it's just whatever, it doesn't mean anything. But then once we start this show and we're on every week, and then every week we're on there, I'm like, okay, it's a little too much. I can't. And listen, some of it's positive, some of it's negative, but you just, after a while, you're like, I can't. Like,
also, it can be 10 nice things and then one mean thing that gets you, and you're like.
And listen, we got the YouTube comments for that, so I don't even need to go over.
Oh,
there,
I never looked at YouTube comments.
Well,
that
it's
was,
fun.
I remember also Thrasher was really harsh, and I never looked at Thrasher. And then
What, like a Thrasher YouTube? Or what do you
Thrasher
mean?
used to have a forum also.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I would like dive in and
Yeah.
just like, don't come back here.
Slaps.
And it's not because I'm not saying that people's comments aren't valid or whatever. I just meant for my own. Plus, also, you want to be able to like work all day and then turn the work off.
Right.
And you don't want to be sitting there at 2 a.m. like
Dwelling on
Reading
something.
comments. Yeah.
fucking Brooklyn baller said that shit about me.
I think it's funny how Slap still exists on that level. Where like, yeah, Thrasher's still there, but there's not one on Thrasher. Thrasher doesn't want to deal with all that crazy shit, even though it's a part of Thrasher still, right? Slap.
Yeah.
I just find it funny that it's just there just for that forum.
It's an interesting place. Let's just put it that way.
Definitely.
I like it though. So what I remember was, I remember doing like a Brandon Westgate episode, who I think is fucking sick. But there was nothing for anyone to fight about. And then you would do, say, Papalardo or somebody, and everyone take sides and get in a fight. Or Jason Dill, Josh Kalis,
Sure.
or something, and then you've sparked a fight. And I guess that's engagement. And sometimes you end up like playing the engagement game a little bit. You're like, oh, Brandon Westgate, everyone's just like, cool episode, move on.
Sure.
If you can like spark an argument, you suddenly, because I remember, I think it was Papalardo, but someone was giving me the views. And I'm like, oh yeah, Papalardo's is like the #1 episode out of all of them. And it was just because there was something, I don't remember what it was, but there was something that people could get in a fight over in it.
Can you refresh my memory really quickly? So, Epicly Later'd was on VBS to begin with, right? It was their own player, right? Did the VBS have comment section in there or no? I don't remember it. I don't remember
it did, but I don't remember.
Okay. Then, did it ever move over to YouTube as you were actually doing the show, or did it stay on their
I think
Vice
it was on
players?
their player, and that's why episodes
Okay.
a lot are lost, well, I've actually found them, but
They're hard to find.
no, I mean I found them, like I have digital files of them, but they're not online anymore because I think of the migration of like VBS TV to Viceland to YouTube, and some of them have been trimmed, which probably isn't a bad thing, but I think some of them are a lot shorter than they initially were aired, and those initial edits are gone, and then there are like episodes that aren't up because they never. I can't remember whose. 'Cause I don't like. Again, I don't watch them really, but
Sure.
I think like Artos is missing, or maybe Mike Carroll's is missing. Some of them have like certain parts and not others, and some of them are on monetized YouTube channels that aren't Vice, which I'm happy that they're up because I don't. What do I care? But I mean, not what do I care. I'm happy that people can watch them.
Right.
But I think I needed some for like a portfolio or for some reason, and I went and fished for Ali Boulala's, and it's like on someone's Vimeo. And
Okay.
same with Cardiel's. It's like on.
$18.99. You can buy it right now.
Damn.
Well, that's for the Vice stuff. By season 1.
Oh yeah, I bought this myself.
Did you bought your own show?
I bought my own show.
I love it.
Well, so on my iPad, I don't watch them, but I just was like, oh, I need to save them. So now I have the files. I have some of the files, and when I talk to Vice, they have them archived. But I don't necessarily need. I'm just glad they're safe.
But don't you want listen, this is monumental in skating. It's your life's work, so to speak. Whatever. But it's huge.
A portion, right?
Don't you want this stuff on your own, a place where people can go and watch the whole?
Yeah.
Because look, we go over here by season 1, 8 episodes. You're like, okay, that's Vice season 1. There's years of this before the VBS stuff, right?
Yeah, I think I would appreciate if everything was uploaded in its original edit.
Or if they were broken up, let's put it all together in one.
I would be,
piece.
and I think when I was messaging with somebody there, but obviously they're going through their issues, so
Totally.
I don't know if that's anyone's top priority to worry about the Billy Rohan episode and making sure it's perfect or whatever.
What about, say they give it up? Say they're like, hey, we're going through our stuff. Here's all your stuff. Here's your files. Here's everything. You own it now.
I would probably put them on a YouTube in
Okay.
order
Got you.
and make it look nice.
Hit
But
the
then it
little-
was how many people would actually watch them?
Dude, I mean, they're putting up stuff, as of recently, and it's getting 1 million views.
Yeah, the ones from television were
Muska.
were put on YouTube, and because the originals were paywalled, so many people thought they were new because they didn't, watch
Yeah.
them. So I don't know how many, but my friend was sending me wow, this one has 2 million views or
Yeah.
something.
People do think they're new because they don't state it in the description. They just say oh, here's the new, or here's the episode.
I noticed they put some sort of clickbaity headlines, titles occasionally.
Sure.
It helps.
Did you let's talk about this really quickly, because when Epicly Later'd pretty much stopped in 2017, is that about right?
Yeah, I don't know. It stopped when the television channel that was, the episodes that were for television were the last 8.
That was it.
And then I talked to him a little bit about season 2,
Mm-hmm.
and someone was like, make a list of who you would do. And then I think I talked to someone online because I was like, I would be happy to go back to just doing them on the web
Sure.
and doing this one's on Javante Turner, this one's on Ocean Howe.
As of doing them yourself.
And chilling them out a little bit, not making them so overproduced, just going back to how they were.
Mhm.
But it's also tough because, there's podcasts and it's also, we tried really hard to make it a story, but sometimes people just want the information and there's more. We had a lucky run where we were the only thing.
Right.
And so sometimes it's if it came out now, there's so much other stuff and there's so many other things like it
True.
that maybe not being the only game in town might make it hard.
I could see that. I could see
If
that.
you got a good product, I think it would be relevant.
This is
'Cause
true
there's things
too.
there's other shows and there's other stuff.
Right.
And when we were doing it, we were the only. I remember thinking this is the only, putting fucktards under Cardiel talking was we're the only people that got to do that.
Sure.
But now I don't.
Anybody with a YouTube channel could do that.
Mhm.
Interesting. I hope that, I don't know, as a viewer and a fan, I hope that something more can come out of this, bankruptcy and whatever goes on with Vice and everything, because I do know that, like we talked about here, you have so much archival footage of, people who have passed. And I hope that something definitely comes out of this, and maybe you'd want to do something extra for people, maybe start your own YouTube channel. And
Or one thing I thought, I was what if I just took the Dylan Rader episode interview
yeah,
and just
uploaded it.
here's a 2-hour interview of this kid talking.
It would go nuts.
Yeah.
Not
Absolutely.
and it wasn't because I want to profit off it, but just to all this friends and family and people can watch it. I don't know.
Yeah,
It could be.
I'd watch it.
What was it like? Was it just a freestyle this interview?
Yeah, I just remember I went to his house and just interviewed him. And we didn't use much of it because, I mean, not this.
Oh, this is just him in the skate park.
I remember
skating.
while we were filming, I did a backside disaster on that and it hung up and it fell really fucking hard.
That thing was steep, dude.
Where I felt like I like cracked a rib and was like kind of embarrassed.
Oh God.
It's like, damn, I just slammed so hard.
But yeah, I don't know, man.
And then I think we were filming and another time, and then I remember Guy Mariano and Cutter were sitting there, and I did have you ever seen where people, kind of a Chad Vaught move where you do like a fakie rock and then you bring your truck to the coping?
Sure.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I did that trick and came down, and I saw Guy and Cutter laughing, and they were like, "Did you have a mini ramp growing up?" And I was like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" And then they were like, and I was like, "Dude."
Because you did that trick.
Yeah, I was like, damn, they're fucking clowning me.
This is stuff
They're
you're talking
just
about
jealous.
at his house.
Yeah, I was talking about this interview.
Right.
So, it's like, I mean, I only think of it as because he's gone,
100%. Right.
Well, and there's a lot of those. There's like,
Well, now that we've said it here, you're going to be getting people are going to be asking a lot.
Have you started about?
He was a special kid. You know, that's.
Yeah. Have you thought about doing kind of the same thing, but just make a different name for it?
yeah, maybe. I had ideas. I mean, it's like I have ideas, but
Well, that's kind of what I was asking, right? Or not? Or just I'm saying I hope something good can come out of all this stuff. And when I say good come out of it, I mean like Vice being out and all this stuff, and maybe getting your tapes back. I mean, who knows, right? It's just a fan hoping.
I remember I had one opportunity that I blew. Well, I didn't blew. Everything happens for a reason, I guess. But Tony Vitello was like, "Hey, we want you to do," and it was like a Jake Phelps documentary or a history of Thrasher for
wow.
Thrasher. But it was right when I did the television season. It was right as it was launching, and I was just like, I can't. Like, I'm doing the Bam and the Muska and the Heath episode.
Sure.
And I remember it was just bad timing, and so basically I turned it down. And then now I'm like,
Looking back, yeah.
and then with Phelps gone, it'd be like hard to do. But it was going to be like Jake taking us through like a history of Thrasher for Thrasher.
Sure.
And sometimes I'm like, I wish
Yeah,
the timing had been better.
Right. Speaking of Heath, I mean, he's the man sitting right here, working with him on, I mean, you guys have been friends for a long time. You guys have done different trips together and stuff like that. But was it weird going into a Epicly Later'd with Heath in that kind of aspect of it? Or was it just natural?
Yeah, I mean, he's someone that I didn't think would do it. Did I ask you? Lauren asked you. Because I think I was scared because I don't want somebody to say no and feel stupid. So I was like, Lauren, you like draw straws, and Lauren asked him.
It's so good.
So
That when you went on the boat with him?
He was on a trip with Boosh,
Kevin,
Kevin,
Good old
in
Bush.
Mexico, and I flew down with Meza.
Okay.
We hired Aaron Meza as our cameraman, which was, that's a score for me. I fucking love his,
He's
well, as a
great. He's
person
the best.
and
Yeah.
his filmmaking. I mean, there's been times where making Epicly Later'd where he shot like nice establishing shots and things, and I had to, I don't know, I'd watch things Aaron Meza made, and I was like, man, I need to step up my filmmaking. But anyway, we flew down with Aaron Meza and like a producer and a fucking sound person and all these people, and we drove to Mexico. And it just so happened the timing worked out that he was on a sick trip, and we flew down and caught up with them on a couple stops on their trip.
So let me get this right. So you didn't know Heath back
No,
then, or you
I
did?
I
You just
knew-
don't want to ask him.
I just didn't want to ask him.
You want to ask your friend.
Yeah. Don't want to get turned down.
Right, because there were other people. I don't know why. I mean, I feel like I should. I think because I asked you once about an interview for something else, and you said no. And I was like, oh, he doesn't do interviews.
Right.
Automatically
Let alone a whole
assumed.
thing about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then somehow we got lucky. Caught him
love
on a
it.
good day.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was saying before the show, I was like, we always get comments. Get Heath Kirchart on the show, comma, he probably will never do the show. But he's here now. Look, he's good. How the sausage is made.
Testing the waters.
Pretty nice, huh?
And he's a listener. We were on that drive. When we were in Mississippi, we listen to episodes occasionally.
Nice.
Wow.
So let's talk about that. So
But,
big.
Oh, so I caught the reason. Sorry to cut you off.
No.
I was on the trip. Sorry, Heath did all these trips, like bicycle across the country.
Yep.
And I don't know. I wasn't like invited, but I felt like I could have or something. But me and Kai were talking about it. Like, there's no way I would bicycle across country. That sounds like fucking shitty. And then he climbed a mountain, and I was like, there's no way I would go up. That sounds horrifying. But when I was on the trip to just film him on the boat with Boosh,
That's more your speed.
I don't know. I just suddenly was like, fuck, I want to do that. Like, and I remember we were talking about Boosh, who's wasn't enjoying himself and was a little, I don't know how to, you guys know him, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
He just wasn't like, I don't know. I don't feel like anyway, I was like, he kind of wanted to bail, I think. And I was like, if I wasn't working on this, I would love to trade places. That sounds sick. Like being on the boat, catching fish,
Yeah.
eating the fish, figuring out how to get water, figuring out how, and suddenly I just think just watching the trip, I suddenly just was, I want to do something like this. This looks like something amazing. I basically got like jealous. So then I'm from St. Louis, Missouri originally, and the Mississippi River's there. And I was just like, would you think you could take your boat down the Mississippi River?
Are you asking Heath this, or are you
Yeah, I
asking?
was like, and then our friend Kai, we all wanted to, I don't know, it just somehow I thought of it. I think because I was from there, or I read Huckleberry Finn or something, and I was like, I want to go down the river. And then we just made it happen.
Do other people do this? Is this a thing to go down the Mississippi River in a boat?
I don't know, because it wasn't what I imagined. The river didn't look like what I imagined.
What do you mean? Because it's huge. This thing is massive.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I pictured a
A little river?
little river. Oh, you know what's funny? When you're in downtown St. Louis, it's narrow and it's really flowing water.
Mm-hmm.
And there's these rapids kind of near St. Louis called the Chain of Rocks, and it's a little bit of false advertising of what the river is. But I also wanted to do photography.
Sure.
It was kind of like two things. It was like the adventure of the trip, and then also sometimes I would wake up and go take pictures like around Memphis or around these different cities as like a photography project.
So you're going down this river. Are you planning it out too? I mean, you must.
A little bit, because our friend Kai had a boat that had gasoline and motor, and I had a canoe. I bought a canoe in St. Louis. And so from Hannibal, Missouri to St. Louis, I canoed it, but I couldn't keep up because Heath was like, had two rows and was like, and then Kai had a boat, had this little like weird boat he bought.
This boat right here? The
No.
brother- oh, okay.
That's Heath's boat.
Okay.
Let's see if and that's my dog June.
That looks like a canoe. No?
No, that's like a dory.
Okay.
And then anyway, I ditched my canoe because I couldn't keep up.
What do you mean you ditched it? You just,
I just
left it somewhere?
I left it in St. Louis.
At where? A dock or like?
No, at
you
a friend's house.
Okay.
So there's Kai, and that's his boat. That's like it was like a raft.
Yeah.
So I felt like I gave up a little bit. And right there where it says Canal All Boats, I lost my iPhone. My phone fell out of the canoe. So I just was like mad because we were in St. Louis and I lost my phone.
And you're in a canoe.
And I'm in a canoe.
Anybody that's watching this says Patrick O'Dell's phone is somewhere around here if you want to go magnet fishing. Oops.
And so anyway, I gave up and I just rode in the little boat, that boat with the motor.
Was it sketchy? Like the little random rapids kind of?
That part I was scared and I didn't do it. Heath and Kai
What do
went
you
on
mean
the.
you didn't do it? You could just get out and then take a
I went.
mulligan on
I
the
went.
What is this?
I got out and filmed
Okay.
and took photos and shit.
Guys, this will be a great spot for me to get out and film a little bit.
Yeah.
I wimped out. And me and my friend from St. Louis, Scott, took photos of them doing the rapids.
Gotcha.
That's my dog.
That's
June.
your dog. Oh, beautiful dog. Mm-hmm. Look at his eyes.
So anyway, I wanted to make a photo book about the trip.
It's amazing. I mean, in my mind, I'm picturing, when you hear about a trip down the Mississippi, I'm thinking just jungle. I'm thinking nothing, but you're going through cities.
And we would stay in motels or casinos or weird places when we were in cities, like Memphis or wherever. And then a lot of times we just camp.
Gotcha.
So there'd be like little sandy islands or little places, and we'd just camp. And it was funny. There were times where we hated it, but at the end, I don't know, I missed it. I got home and was like a little depressed, like
How long did it take?
like a month.
It's a long time.
And then when we drove from New Orleans back to St. Louis, and we listened to 9 Clubs. But I don't remember whose episodes.
When did you film this, or when did you do this?
I don't know, 2019 or
Oh, okay.
It says 2017 Big River book.
Okay, 2017. And it was right when I was moving, so it was funny. I packed up my house in Philadelphia and moved to Los Angeles, and this was in between.
It's amazing. I mean, like, it's cool to do stuff like that. I just, like, so what the hell is this? Oh,
This little ferry.
So we just were like camping weird places and stuff.
Right,
And so
right,
now
right.
now I have a kid. So I have all these trips I want to do. We did a backpacking trip, but it was only 3 days, and I want to do more backpacking trips, like
Yeah.
kind of like through hiking. But I also don't want to leave my kid.
How old?
He's 3.
3.
So I'm like, I can't. Until he's old enough to hike.
Oh, you're going to bring him with you.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's older.
So wait a minute. You went downstream. You did a month just floating down the Mississippi.
Yeah.
And then you had, what would you say, 2 boats that turned into 1? 3 boats
We
that
had 3
turned
boats
into 2?
that turned into 2. Because I didn't believe Kai's boat would work. I was like, this is bullshit.
Why?
I'm buying a boat.
What's wrong with his boat?
It was like a weird square raft that he bought a motor and stuck. It was just like a boat he made up.
Oh, he made a boat that you would try
It
to
was
make
a-
if you're trying to get off an island.
He just made something up.
He'd do it yourself.
DIY.
Yeah.
Here you go.
And there was one point where there was all these barges, and one was barreling towards us, and he ran out of gas. Like the engine died. I remember just panicking because this fucking giant barge, they're only going like 5 miles an hour, but it's just barreling towards us, and he was pouring gas in and pulling on the fucking thing.
Like a lawnmower trying to get it started.
And then finally we got out of the way, but I was like, dude, we're about to die.
Keeps going back and forth, like in an edit, like,
Right.
oh my God, here it is. And you're just like, get out of there.
That was the Quest for the Holy Grail.
There
it
it
keeps
is.
running, keeps running.
Mhm.
But what an amazing experience, though. Like, you want to do
Yeah.
it again, obviously. Like, do some other stuff.
Yeah, I had bought all the gear for backpacking, and I'm like, I want to do backpacking.
Where would you
trips.
go?
I don't know which ones I would do now. I have a permit to do Yosemite, like this backcountry Yosemite.
Okay.
And my wife wants to do it. So, but we're only going to do it for like 2 nights or 3 nights because we don't want to ditch our kid too long.
Yeah, that's tough, right?
Like Heath always does the Colorado River
Mhm.
where you get the permit, but it's a month, and I was like, I can't be away from my kid for a month.
A month,
Yeah,
another
that's different
month.
for sure.
But that's a trip I would love to do.
And you
And
just
I've
go-
done a bunch of little backpacking trips that are more like 2 nights, 3 nights.
So the Colorado River, I mean, are we enduring rapids there? It's a whole thing.
That's one Heath does.
Heath, come on the show, man. Let's talk.
Man, you do some of the wildest trips I've
I know.
ever seen, dude.
That's fucking amazing, to be honest with you. But congrats. The book, Big River, out now. Just came out recently.
Yeah.
Where can we get it? Where can people find it?
Deadbeat Club is the publisher.
What is it?
Deadbeat Club.
Deadbeat Club. So deadbeatclub.com, I assume.
.org, I don't know.
Okay.
Dot-
Something
dot biz.
dot something dot TV.
Dot
Not
net.
on Amazon. Can't find this on Amazon.
Here we go. Look, right here. Patrick O'Dell, Big River, $40. You got pre-order. Wait, what?
Well, it's out.
Oh, it's out.
just pre-order
Okay.
for the second.
Nice, dude. Again, you said you are working on a book that is going
An
to
epically latered
showcase your
book.
epically latered stuff. I love
That
that
one, this is a pretty limited number of books, but the Epicly Later'd book will be a little more mass. It's the same publisher that did one of Jerry's books and did Tino Razzo's book.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about that because I love Tino and Jerry. So
Yeah,
I get to
they're
be
the
like,
best.
it'll fit right on the shelf next to those.
No, but congrats on that, the book and everything.
Yeah,
and I
really
can't
dope.
wait for the Epically Later book. Because,
Yeah.
again, not to gas you up, but a big, huge fan of the Epically Later's, man. I think that we talk about skating having an impact on our lives growing up. And, the skater impacted my life, but also shows, that impacted my life, of just being able to see these people and relate to them and see their face and see them telling a story.
And it's, not the show in general, not the show necessarily, but skating could be like anything. Like Like if a bunch of fucking shitty people became skaters, which I guess has happened, but like
every day.
we get to like shape our own culture.
Sure.
And the fact that people like John Cardiel or, you know,
Alyssa Steamer.
these are our legends,
Right.
is rad. And having these people to pick from to do episodes on, it shows that like how amazing the people that found skating are.
True.
Definitely.
And shaped what skating could be. Like, you know, like skateboarding could have been anything.
For sure.
And I think, I remember asking Eric Dressen about the skaters he looked up to, the people, he named a bunch of skates, like some skaters I never even heard of, or he went to a demo. It was the Pepsi team. He's like, oh, I went to a demo and the Pepsi team was there.
How crazy is that?
And, skateboarding could have been anything at that point.
Right.
Right.
And I actually think about the Pepsi team because now people get mad at like Red Bull hats at at Street League. It'd be a Red Bull hat, but it's like I don't know. The Pepsi team got dressing into skating.
But they had a whole uniforms though.
They had
They
uniforms.
had uniforms.
They
Pepsi
did.
uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking with the Olympic uniforms, people were mad that they're skating out of a uniform. But somehow I actually thought the uniform would be chiller than what people wear sometimes.
I thought the uniforms were pretty chill.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Right? Yeah.
Like, oh, you have to take off your Red Bull hat.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And put on this other outfit.
I just want to know: is there? The show ended in 2017. We'll get into what you were doing after the show. You did a bunch of van stuff. You did a bunch of music videos and stuff like that. But was there an episode that you really wanted to do that you just didn't get the chance to do? When you talk about the Jake Phelps one, but that was for Thrasher.
Yeah, there's been a bunch. I mean, like, there are people we always hit up, like, you know, email, like, call Mark Gonzalez and be like, can we do an episode?
Right.
No, or
Not us or anything like that, or
Nodis swerves me.
Yeah.
There's people that
Steve
like,
Rocco?
Ooh.
I interviewed him for the Big Brother. I did a Big Brother documentary and I got Rocco in there. But yeah, there's people that like fucking swerve you.
Yeah.
And early on, I would hit people up. I don't know. It'd be like, Dan Trehobel, want to do an episode? And like, no answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or dude, tons of people.
Yeah.
And you just kind of win something, lose some.
Yeah.
Take it on the chin, man. You just move on, right?
Exactly.
Territory.
So, Epicly Later'd ends. You obviously in that same year. I think that's when you did the Big Brother documentary,
Brother, yeah.
Dumb, right? How did you even get into that? I would assume.
I think it was Hulu
Yeah.
asked Jeff Tremaine to make it, and Jeff Tremaine's like, I'm not the director, I'm the subject. I'm just like,
Amazing.
So that one really felt like a collaboration between me and Jeff Tremaine, because as you can watch it, the look isn't like Epicly Later'd, but we were working with Jeff and Sean Cliver, and there was a lot of people involved that's their story.
Mhm.
So you're I'm working with them to kind of tell their story.
Sure.
And I don't know, like, it's the Big Brother story a little bit told by them and I'm helping.
Sure. So you felt it was more of,
It's a collaboration.
there you go, collaboration. So it's easy to produce, I would assume, because they're telling the story, right? You just have to kind of formulate the story.
Mhm.
Is that kind
Yeah,
of
exactly.
the basis of it?
Just go out and interview all the players. And I was a huge Big Brother fan. Big Brother, I think,
Yeah.
informed even Epicly Later'd and stuff, because what I liked, I'm thinking of the early issues that were hard to find, but also they would drive across the country and the whole thing was like columns with their adventures every day. And I think as a kid sitting in Columbus, Ohio, with no driver's license, and I'm reading this, like, it's like reading a cowboy story or something. You're like, wow, they went to Des Moines.
And
then
you
they
want to be a
went-
cowboy. That's the
Right.
thing, yeah.
So I'm reading this like a fantasy, like someday I'm going to get a driver's license and I'm going to do this sort of thing. Because some of the writing back then, and even Trans World or Thrasher, wasn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just be like weird stories you wouldn't even necessarily read. It just like filled up type. And those stories, Dave Carney And Sean Cliver is a writer, and Mark McKee is a writer, or Kendra or whoever. They told amazing stories that really took you on the ride. Like you felt like you were in the van with them. And that was something I always copied a little bit. Even my
Right.
writing at Thrasher, I'd be like, I'm on the Baker tour with these weird dudes. It was all informed by probably Dave Carney or Sean Cliver writing.
That's funny.
And
man.
so Epicly Later'd was a little bit like that too.
Right. So it must have been a privilege then to be able to work on that.
Yeah,
And
for
to with all those guys and everything.
And it's fun because you interview people. I like interviewing some of these weird people that you would never think. Like we went to some weird Christian college that Simon Woodstock works at. I interviewed him, or just you get your or Earl Parker.
Mhm.
You know, like go to meet up with Earl Parker, or even Bam. We went to Bam's house to interview Bam, and I want to say that maybe that's not the first time I met him, or it's definitely not. But that was sort of sparked doing an episode on him.
Right.
And so yeah, it was a fun experience, and it was cool to do something a little different.
Mm-hmm. When Epicly Later'd ended, that's 2017-ish. I mean, we're doing the dumb Big Brother story. Were you already looking for other? I mean, first of all, were you like bummed that Epicly Later'd
Yeah,
like
because it never like ended. Like I didn't get broken up with. It just
stopped?
and occasionally that happened with the show a lot. A couple times I filmed things and I'd have the tapes. I remember like I filmed a Templeton one and I kind of had the tapes, but it wasn't on anyone's list to get it cut.
Interesting.
And that happened a few times where, you know, you're with a company for a long time and like priorities shift and people always want to make their own projects. So you're working on things for Vice. And of course, somebody has to greenlight, not just because I can be a cheap filmmaker, but the editing and the like assembly line of getting the thing fucking edited and put out costs money. And, you know, somebody's got to say, oh yeah, we're gonna, it's somebody's turn to cut the Ed Templeton episode. And so there were a lot of periods, because like I said, if it was up to me, there would be weekly Epicly Later'd every day until this week.
right.
But, you know, there's a system or.
So that goes back to them paying you per episode, right? It's essentially,
Yeah.
what you're saying is like you have this Ed Templeton episode, but nobody's there to cut it, so nobody's buying it off you, essentially. And that's kind of what happened at the end, or
Well,
they just
I don't know. There's just I don't know if the phone stops ringing or
Yeah.
you're just, I don't know. Because I think at any point someone could just email me and be like, hey, we're cranking out some Epicly Later. It's like, I don't feel like the show's over or canceled, but it's just never, you know,
the next episode never aired.
or just you never. I guess it got tougher because the last season, those episodes were big budget or took a lot.
They had to spend more money.
So maybe to like crank out some shitty ones might be tough, but
Would you change the way you did it if you did it?
I
again?
think
like putting him out.
maybe shorter. Like if we did another season for the channel, but I don't think the channel exists. And I don't think some of the people that I work, because I remember I was trying to get questions answered about something and I needed something from them and I couldn't. I don't know anyone who works there.
it's a weird situation.
It's just that, you know, like things change and
Yeah, but also, I mean, it's just a weird. It's an unknown situation as well, like what they're going through and everything, and you're involved in that in some capacity. You know, you're a part of that. You know, and
And
it's kind of the unknown.
yeah, I think one theory I've had is when something's like someone else's idea, it's really easy to get someone else's idea made. When it's like your idea, everyone wants to do their own idea. So if you come in like, I have an idea, like go away. Like I have my own idea.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get mine greenlit.
When you get this newer jobs now, are you going to them or are they mostly coming to you?
Yeah, you did a lot of van stuff.
So I did a bunch of van stuff. And I got hired. They were doing Vans Park Series.
Mm-hmm.
And they hired me to do work for them. And I was doing a lot of like just weird behind the scenes shit. Like
You're doing little mini interviews and stuff like that.
doing
though,
little
right?
mini interviews. Like we would do little things on some of their athletes.
Mhm.
Like Nora Vasconcelos. Even though she's Adidas, it would be like for the Park Series.
You did a Jerry Sue one too.
Jerry Sue. Oh, for his collaboration. So yeah, I did a bunch of Vans Park Series stuff, and then Vans Park Series stopped, and then I was doing. They would do colorways with people, and I would do little videos for the colorway to like explain what it was. So we would do like Lottie Skate Shop or
Yeah.
Jerry Sue or Justin Henry from Columbus, Ohio. Oh yeah, those
We're
are
just looking at your website here.
those are older. I haven't updated the site, but we did. Yeah, those are some of the Vans skater, like Vans Park Series skaters. Just fun shit. And the Vans Park Series was really fun because I got to go to every contest.
Sick.
And so for 3 years, it would be like a contest in South America, a contest in China, a contest in Malmo.
Amazing.
So it was sweet to get to go
Sick destinations.
Hell yeah.
go on trips and go to Japan, go wherever, and whatever, just get to
Cool
travel. I mean, it's just fun to travel. It's fun to like go to contests.
Definitely.
That's the best part about skating, man, is the travel.
One of the best.
So yeah, this
perk,
was
for
this
sure.
was go to Tokyo.
Oh,
and film
I gotta go to
Kisa.
Tokyo, man. Oh,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Seriously.
It's amazing.
Do you have an agent now? Like you that
No.
help? No, just
I would
all
like
word of
one if
mouth.
there's an agent out there. Oh, and so I did the Vans colorway stuff. So like we would do. I'm trying to think of who we did. We did like Quasi did a thing, and Justin Henry from Columbus, which is sick because that's where I went to high school.
Sick.
So he's from near me, and so we went to Columbus and got to film stuff.
Sick.
That was right when COVID started because I remember I filmed Justin Henry in Columbus, and all of a sudden it was like while we were there, it was right when like Tom Hanks got it and basketball was canceled.
Oh.
And I flew
the
home.
beginning right there.
My wife made me sleep in the other room for a week, and it was right when
Because you were out and about.
because I was in Ohio filming. So we did the Vans things.
Was it
and then I did a Caballero 30 years of the half cab.
Yes, that's right. That's
so I
right.
got to kick it with Cab and make a.
That's so dope.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was cool because I guess you think about these things subconsciously, but it was the fact that it was the anniversary of the half cab.
Mm-hmm.
30 years half cab. But I was thinking about the skater, like how he skated for Vans and Powell the whole time. The trick, the half cab or the Caballero is still in our vernacular. It's still a trick that if you're good, you could do Caballeros. And then the shoe is still a shoe everyone wears. It's a pretty insane legacy to have like those three things, like the skater,
For sure.
the trick, the shoe.
But also going from vert to street cab and continuing on. A lot of people couldn't do that.
Oh,
A lot of people tried. A lot of people failed.
For
Oh
sure.
yeah, when he did, I remember the 411 opener maybe with the double kink board slide.
Oh yeah.
There was a one where he just board slid this long rail. I mean, like nobody, he pulled it off.
Definitely.
He did it. And that was,
It's kind of nuts how good he is.
Yeah.
I mean,
nicest, sweetest dude too.
And-
Yeah, for sure.
I'm trying to think. There was this street cab. But he would do things like, I would look on his Instagram and he was doing, I don't know, was it motocross or
Yeah. That's how he
motocross?
broke his femur or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just like, dude.
He found another passion.
I tripped out. It was on the Tony Hawk documentary, and Lance is just like, man, it's like, imagine someone's grandpa. He's not a grandfather, but it's just like, we're like granddads doing this shit. And I've been skating with my kid, and he's on a little scooter, and I've been skating with just a board. And I look at like a ledge, like I'm gonna go board, and I'm like, I can't. Like I like ride up, and I'm like, and these dudes.
You're like, I still got it, right? No, damn.
The more you do it, though, you get out there more.
but-
Yeah.
See,
You're going to board side to fakie, just like Guy Mariano. I'm telling you.
I wanted to. I brought the wrong board. I took him to the Santa Monica like double-sided curbs, and I was thinking about dressing how he board slid over it.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was the ad for the Everslick. But I had the board I had was a zip zinger. I'm making excuses, but I was like, and it was Sunday, so it was packed. I was thinking you skating there, and I was like, I'm gonna boards. I'm going to do the dressing because then I'm going to imagine that it's
Sure.
1997 or 87 and it's gnarly to board slide.
You might get the cover of Strength. No, Strength wasn't around back then.
No, but I got some footage that day. I'll show you off camera.
Yeah.
My kid bombing a hill on a little scooter.
Okay.
So sick.
Let's check it out.
Have you got the board? You presented the board in front of him just yet?
Yeah, I kept being like, "Do you want to ride my board?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "It's too hard." And he was on a little scooter.
What would you
I
say?
think
He's
that's a
3,
good-
right?
Yeah.
He's 3. He just turned 3. And he has a helmet with a little mohawk.
I don't even
that
know if he
is-
has kneecaps yet.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
I feel like the scooter's a good gateway thing into for kids.
Yeah.
They need to learn. They need to
Very
hold
helpful.
on to something at
sure.
first, you know.
I don't think it's not that important to me that he skates or anything, but I just like doing fun stuff with him.
For sure.
And I think this winter I'm going to make sure to take him snowboarding or
Sick.
take him.
To the snow.
Introduce him to
Dinner.
all kinds
Yeah.
of different stuff,
Yeah.
for sure. So we did the van stuff. We did this, and a lot of music videos in between all that stuff too, right?
Right. I got lucky and I'm trying to think. I did one for Panda Bear, who's
Panda
from
Bear.
Animal Collective, and
Morrissey.
did a Morrissey video,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is insane to me because have been in my life the biggest Morrissey fan. I remember a friend of mine be like, "That's the biggest job that any of us have ever gotten because of how big of a fan I was to get to make the video."
How did that even come about? How does somebody hit you up for a Morrissey video?
I did some weird assisting where I was filming concerts and filming some weird behind the scenes stuff
Okay.
because somebody else hired me. And then
That's why I asked about.
I got to make this.
This is the one, yeah. Looks like it's in your backyard. I mean,
It's at the recording studio. It's on Melrose.
okay.
That's why I asked about the agent, because some of these things, and don't get me wrong, like obviously in the time and experience that you've done this, you're gonna meet so many different people that can refer to you and be like, "Hey, well, we can hire."
It's kind of like
You
who
know?
you know, right?
Yeah.
This was all Morrissey's idea because he was just like, "This is what I want." And I remember there was a pitchfork or something saying it was just like every other Morrissey video. But it was also like, I'm just there and I'm intimidated. And they're just like, "This is what we want. Like, I'm going to walk and the band's going to walk behind
Okay.
me."
Oh, he was kind of directing it. In a
Yeah,
sense.
the guy jumps over the yeah, I had this other shot I really liked of him recording the lyric. Like, see how these guys are all in their like place in the studio?
Sure.
There was a shot of him in his spot, but he had him cut it all out.
Oh, he not only was dude, Dre was the editor too.
He was just like, "This is what I want." And he just knows what he wants.
But is that kind of a bummer though? I mean, you get to that far, you have this chance now, and now all you're doing is pointing a camera at them. He's taking
little
your
bit.
job from you.
But I rationalize it as just like, sometimes you're just like, you're there to help. You're the director, but you'll always find that someone's just like wants.
That's what he wants.
That's what he wants. Let's fucking do it.
Okay, I just think it's kind of a little.
I
bit
think
of a bummer.
I had some weird. There was a shot because I was filming a record and he was drinking a Corona and he like chugged it, or he was drinking beer and there was something else, and I was like, "Oh, we gotta have the shot of him drinking the beer." Oh, and they sent a video over of Herb Alpert in downtown LA. It was like a YouTube, and his manager sent it, and they were like, "We want it like this," which was so. I, of course, I'm scared talking to Morrissey, and I was like, "I got the YouTube video you sent me," and he was like, "YouTube? I did not send you a YouTube video."
Oh,
And I was
you
like,
too.
And I was like, YouTube. I was like, and it was a guy with a trumpet. And he's like, "Are you honestly telling me you've never heard of Herb Alpert?" And I hadn't. And I was like, "No." And I was just like a little bit nervous. And I was like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." Because I hadn't, this is embarrassing, but I didn't know who Herb Alpert was. But then it was kind of sweet because he had this like all these records laying there, and he had this gatefold with like pictures of Herb Alpert, and he started showing me. He's like, "Well, this is Herb Alpert," and he was showing me all these pictures of Herb Alpert, and he had this trumpet, which I didn't know whether it was actually Herb Alpert's, but we took pictures of him with the trumpet, and he's like, "This is the real thing," and anyway.
He's a trumpet player.
Right, and so I got to learn about Herb Alpert. And the video doesn't look anything like the video he sent me, but because then I was like thinking of skating because a lot of people, it's like production and costs and permits, but I was like, we could go film that, like, because it was them downtown LA or Alvera Street with Herb Alpert was the music video, and I was
Okay.
like, we should just go do that.
Oh, you don't need permits for it. You just
Let's
go.
just go.
Yeah.
But It didn't happen.
Huh. Still, nonetheless, rad opportunity, right? Damn. So
Then now I never will see Herb Alpert without being like, I don't.
So we got to, here you're doing a 25th anniversary video for Nixon, which is awesome. How did even that come about?
Well, I guess it started, this guy, Matt Ramirez, works at Nixon, and I worked with him on I did a basically a pretend epically latered on D'Angelo Russell, who played for the Lakers, or plays for the Lakers, for New Era, and Matt was involved in that project.
Okay.
So we did a D'Angelo Russell epically latered, and now Matt is at Nixon, and that video, that was a fun project and came out cool, and so I think he pitched it to Chad,
the owner
of Nixon,
Yep.
along with this other guy, Andy, is one of the co-owner, or the other co-owners. But and it was funny because in my career, I spent so much time in New York and LA, a little bit San Francisco, that in San Diego area is a little bit of a blind spot.
Sure.
So I wasn't super familiar with. Well, obviously knew Nixon from the advertising, but I don't spend a lot of time in Encinitas, so I never met Chad before. But they sent me over the list of all the people that we were going to interview for it. And it was pretty like fucking gnarly list, like Mike D from the Beastie Boys and all these people. And I started thinking, man, all these people are going to be in this project, like Colin McKay. I mean, I can't. It's hard to list them all. Like all these sick people. And I was like, this must be like a rad company or a rad dude that owns the company. That all these people are gonna. We interviewed Robert Trujillo from Metallica.
Okay.
Just like sick people. And as I met Chad and as I started learning more about the brand, I kind of understood why people were so down to be a part of it. I guess it's just it's just a sick company, and I got to learn about it, hang out with them, and in some ways, I feel like I've kind of become part of their roster. You know, Thomas Campbell used to shoot all their ads, but like Blayback and Grant Britton, and Atiba Jefferson, and whatever, the sickest people, the sickest snowboarders, surfers. And it's funny, I don't know a lot about snowboarding and a lot about surfing, but as I met each person, I was like, this dude's sick.
Right.
So, we're making a 25th anniversary of Nixon watches.
Yeah. I mean,
video.
25 years is incredible. And I mean, I know what you're talking about with like the guy from Metallica and all these people, because I mean, they've done so many different projects with so many different people, and it's just, they've done it all, you know? So to go cover all that stuff, it's amazing. Have you gotten a free watch? That's how you know, that's how you know you're in the family. If you got a free watch.
Yeah, I'm a watch wearer.
Are you?
I can't leave the house without a watch.
What do we got? What timepiece do we have on right now?
This is a Nixon. It's solar. So it powers by the sun.
No, it's solar?
Yeah.
Really? Look at you.
A little solar.
You're part of the family, huh?
It was funny that I interviewed two people that don't set their watches. P-Rod said he puts on a watch and doesn't set it.
He doesn't set it.
So
how does he know what time it is?
I was like, so if someone comes up to you like, hey, what time it is? You have to like fish for your phone? And he's like, yeah. And same with Nora Vasconcelos, doesn't set her watch.
By the way, these are a couple of pictures that I think you took, right? Did you take these?
Oh, yeah.
Of P-Rod right there. He's been in the Nixon family for ages.
Yeah, he's a little child there.
Little kid. Look at that. And then speaking of Nora, you have Nora Vasconcelos.
Nora and her cat.
Their cat there. Nice little interview set up there. I'd see you have the little boom mic with the little fluffy thing on it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
When does this come out?
Blayback.
In like 2 weeks. I'm a little stressed because we're like crunch time on the edit.
Right. Oh, so we're good. You've got it.
It's shot. I shot the last interview like a week ago. I drove to Thomas Campbell's house.
Okay.
I'm a burp.
How
I
long
drove
were you
to Thomas Campbell's house in Santa Cruz and got the last interview.
Nice, dude.
How long have you been working on this for?
Like a month. Oh well, it was maybe 2 weeks of filming, and now that was like 2 months ago, and then a couple pickup interviews here and there.
Rad.
There's Sal.
Salema Masakela.
He was a great interview.
He's the man.
Salema.
We've been trying to get him on the show for a while.
He has his own podcast, right?
He does. I think he's just starting it, actually.
You guys have like podcast beef?
Yeah, for sure. We don't want Salema on the show anymore. No, he could take a hike.
He was a great interview. There's certain people you just interview.
He's got the gift of he speaks really well.
His he had a Herb Alpert poster. His grandfather played with Herb Alpert.
Oh, sick.
There's some history.
There's Chad.
Chad from Nixon right there.
Chad's sick, man.
He's a good dude. I've gone down and have meetings with him and stuff like that.
I noticed this because usually you do these. I do Epicly Later'd, do all the shit, and sometimes like behind the scenes, everyone starts fucking talking shit, and no one has anything bad to say about him.
Amazing.
You just interview people. Everyone's happy, like to drop what they're doing to come interview for it.
Right.
I didn't catch any drama.
Here's a quick story on our behalf of not having anything bad to say about Chad. He hit us up because we've always wanted Steve Rocco on the show. He's like, hey, I know Steve Rocco. Let me set up a meeting with you guys. You guys come over to my house. Steve will come over also. You guys can meet. We'll have some breakfast and we could chat and see if we can get him on the show. I mean, very gracious. You know, he didn't have to do that. He opened up his home, had Rocco come over. We had a meeting.
It's a good time.
Rocco still hasn't been on the show, but
At least
he tried. You know what I mean?
See how the photo's all hazy around the mirror?
Yep.
That's like Mississippi water. That was the trip when I made this book. I think the camera got like water in it. And it's still, but then I kind of like the look.
It's I didn't notice
because it's a film. It's like contacts, and everything got like waterlogged on that trip.
Wow.
That's a good photo.
And
I like
I just live with it.
Works.
Looks good.
Zion.
Zion's so sick.
Yeah, it's rad though. I can't wait. It's gonna be a good one.
Dope, bro.
Do you guys wear watches?
I do. I got the Apple Watch.
I do, time to time.
I wear from time to time too. Yeah.
Time to time.
That one looks good.
If I leave the house without a watch, I start getting a little stressed.
Do you set it before you leave?
It's like I could tell the time.
I don't set the date though. This says it's Monday the 8th. I just set the time, not the date.
You're way off.
Got the weekday right.
Sometimes I felt weird skating with a watch on. If I felt my wrist, I felt like it would hurt a lot more.
Yeah, I had a nice, what I had considered at the time a nice watch when I was shooting skate photos. Remember I thrashed it like shooting photos and was nervous about it. And so it's nice to wear a watch that's more in the like $200 range.
Oh,
because you're like, if I fuck it up, it's not that big of a deal.
But also you got it for free.
I got this one for free,
Right.
but I have a lot of watches I paid.
Oh, you do
for.
a lot. Okay.
I got a little case of watches.
For me, it's like I relate it to like the sunglass thing, right? I don't have a good pair of sunglasses because they fall off, they grow on the ground, they scratch it. I cannot have a $200 pair of sunglasses. I just get the little cheap ones.
Oh,
they're
I do that.
perfect.
Whatever works.
Yeah. I have a fake Rolex that I bought in China. Still got it. Still works. Shake it up, so thing still keeps ticking.
I don't know. I think of it as like when you have a film camera and it's sick to have to shoot on film, or you have like a vinyl record, or it's just part of that family of vintage equipment.
Mm-hmm. Hey, there's your piece right there. The Century Solar Leather, $250.
Boom.
Damn.
Pat, oh my God, look at you. So we got the Nixon thing. Congrats on that. It's amazing. You got to interview a lot of dope people, and
I'm glad I have some stuff to talk about that's current, because I was nervous about doing these and feeling if we had just been like, oh, Epicly Later'd canceled. How sad are you?
But
I don't want to be on this thing feeling like a big loser.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, like, you have so much rich history to talk about. Even if you had nothing, if you were retired right now and had nothing to do,
because I was for a couple years. My wife was working, and we had our child, Arthur. Mm-hmm. That's his name. I had to think of a name that wasn't a pro skater.
There is no Arthur, right? I guess there's no Arthur.
Are you telling me there's no Arthur's pro skater?
All I could think
Art
of
Vandelay.
Art Godoy.
Oh, yeah.
Art Godoy was the only one I could think. But we'd think of names and be like, what about Ethan? And I'd be like, oh, it's a skater.
Yeah. Every name.
What about Julian? No, it's a skater.
Yeah.
I didn't even like that skater. You know, name
She was like,
people with the names, they could ruin it.
She's like, what about Duran? I was like, no, it's a skater.
There's already a J Dubs. It's not going to be J Dubs.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
There's already a Boosh.
Can you imagine? This is my baby Boosh.
But that was a
Boosh
real
Odell, yeah.
thing. Like, you gotta come up with a name
No
that
doubt.
I don't have, that I'm not gonna be like, yeah.
I had a hard enough time coming with a name with my cat. I couldn't even imagine a child. You got to live with it.
We left the hospital 5 days. We didn't have a name. It was just
What'd you call it?
Baby Wilson.
Baby
Baby Wilson, bro. Yeah, we had to go back and sign some papers. And
Yeah, Baby
then we
Wilson.
had
You
to-
hungry? You hungry, Baby Wilson?
I couldn't have a name before I actually see my
You
child.
got to meet him first.
Yeah,
I understand.
And
I was
we
like
got-
that with my
We
cat.
got to hang out a little bit, and then we got a name.
You said, baby. Yeah, baby. We'll just stick with Baby Wilson. What if you stuck? Sorry, Patrick. I'm having a little laugh.
Well, I was just saying, I spent 2 years stay-at-home daddy
Mm-hmm.
and wasn't really working on anything, just working on my kid.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful moment, bro. You'll never get that back. So
I was thinking about that yesterday. He was like taking a nap on me, and we were skating. He keeps like, "I want to go skate. I want to go scooter," and he like cuddles me, and I'm like, "Man, one of these days it's not gonna want to.
Oh my god, bro, that's
we're
the
not
best.
cuddling.
He's gonna. Yeah.
Gonna hate me."
You don't want to think like that, but yeah, it's gonna be different.
He's gonna hate me. So we're finishing up the Nixon project. What about anything else on the horizon? What do we got?
A book, the
That's
Epicly Later'd
the
book.
Epicly Later'd
and
book?
I don't know. I got some stuff I'm trying to get made, but
By the way, do we know the what do they call it? The publisher for the Epicly Later'd book? What's the publisher's name? Do we know?
anthology.
Anthology. So people that are watching this closer to the time that when your book comes out, go to Anthology and maybe pick up the Epicly Later'd book.
Yeah, that one will be more like in Barnes and Noble, and well, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know
Yeah,
for real, but they're
Okay.
gonna print a lot of
There
them.
you go.
I love that.
Because
Get the
Tino's
bigger distribution.
because Tino and Jerry's book, you just see it everywhere. So I'm like, oh, I want to get it up on the Tino and Jerry. I want to be next.
Those
to
are some
Tino
good.
and Jerry.
Those are some good people to be next to.
Did you see
Definitely.
Tino's book?
I haven't.
Tino's book's all empty pools.
Oh, okay.
And Tino, especially when I was partying in New York, was one of my best friends, and he never seemed like a photographer. Like he never camera didn't do it, and then suddenly he started going on pool sessions and would take pictures of all the empty pools, and I couldn't believe it when he started showing me the pictures. I cannot believe you're a photographer. They're like William Eggleston, like landscapes of, and I have one in my house, giant.
Here we go.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's beautiful photography.
I never even. Yeah, when you say picture of a pool, I'm just picturing just an empty pool. But that's a great photo.
I got one of the drum scans from his picture, and I blew up one of them, and it's hanging in my house. But anyway, I'm just proud of him. He's yeah,
There's all the steps right there.
That's super rad. I didn't know
Tino
that either.
Yeah.
Tino
Tino
Razzo,
Razzo,
photographer. I had no idea.
He's
When I
super
met
low
him,
key, bro. He's been low key.
when I met him, he was the He was the person that checked IDs at Max Fish.
Right.
And we became friends because we were friends already, but I would come to Max Fish and sit there and get free drinks while he checked IDs.
I love that, man.
His brother was a bartender, so I'd just go to
Mhm.
Max Fish, and
Max Fish still around? Are they?
think it's
out?
gone,
Or
right?
I
something?
think moved, but I think they're closed right now.
I think
Yeah.
close.
I went there
It's a
a
shame.
couple months ago.
Iconic skate bar for those people that
Okay.
don't know in New York,
Yeah.
man.
I think I ruined it, and this is one thing.
You
I'll
ruined the
take
whole thing.
credit- a little bit, because on my blog I would always be like, "Go to Max Fish, go to Max Fish," and I think when I first started going there, it was a really sort of a bohemian kind of like artists hung out there, and musicians, and then I started posting, and I
you
think
ruined it.
people would come to town, skate teams,
Mm.
be like, "We're going to Max Fish," and then a couple years in, it was just all skaters.
How funny is that? That I mean, nowadays blog isn't even really in our vocabulary anymore. I mean, the blog turned into vlog. I mean, blogging seems so.
Yeah, Instagram killed it. Like once I got an Instagram account, that was the thing that made me stop posting.
Because now you have your own.
Post on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's so
And it was funny
interesting.
because sometimes I think about it, I was like, how many views I used to get.
Ugh.
And I was kind of like,
What was a typical view? What are you talking about?
I don't know, but I just remember it was in the millions. Like when I look at total views ever on the site.
And this is a skateboarding blog.
Right. But it's funny because now I don't party. I don't have anything to post. My Instagram is just like my kid, and camping. It was just some bullshit. Like I'm not like
It's pretty much epically later.
my influencer days are over.
It's pretty much later.
But back it's later. But back then, partying every night.
Sure. Yeah.
Up to trouble.
Yeah.
What did that?
I mean,
was that a lot to deal with back then when you're like this guy behind the camera, or like a photographer? Now you're kind of this famous dude. Was there any? Did it like you partying? Would it feel like you get a lot of attention?
I remember I lived in New York, and when I first moved there, yes, drinking, partying, bullshitting, like constantly.
right.
And like a little bit like this happens to a lot of even pro skaters that go to New York. You kind of blow off the thing. Bars are open till 4. You just get sucked in.
Sure.
And the blog started in kind of that. And I remember around when I turned 30. And I remember about 2 months had passed and I hadn't gone out at all. And I was thinking about how rent was cheaper in LA and I could have a yard. And I was like, I'm not even taking advantage of New York anymore. I'm not out till 4. I'm just going to bed at 11. And there was a little bit of growing pain from being
Partier to responsible.
partier to responsible. And especially now with a kid, I think that, how your cells in your body replace over time. And I have this theory that maybe after 6 years, you're an entirely different person because everything has replaced itself.
Interesting.
And I am not the same person. I look at the blog, I'm like, this is not how I would live. Now I just hang out with my kid.
How long ago did you, because you're sober now, right? You don't drink?
Sober, I don't drink.
How long ago was that?
I haven't drank in a long time.
In a long time, okay.
And,
More than 6 years.
yes.
Okay, so we're maybe 2 or 3 times the person you were before.
Yes.
Okay.
I have shed my skin.
Many times.
Because sometimes I have friends. Sometimes there were friends. Do you ever look at Instagram and you get like jealous a little bit? You see all your friends hanging out, or like
Sometimes.
partying,
Yeah,
and
a
you're
little FOMO.
Here and there. Yeah.
like,
normal.
oh, why didn't I get invited? And then
But you don't even miss it, do you?
I'm like, I just want to. Yeah. I wouldn't have gone.
Yeah. I just wanted the opportunity
I just.
to turn
The
down.
invite, and then no.
I think I looked at like an Atiba party. It was like Atiba and Jerry and Tino and all my friends.
Oh, yeah.
Spanky. Were
Yeah.
all.
Those are the
Well,
ones.
no,
right,
Spanky's on Team Dad with me.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have like a dad group chat. It's like me and
The responsible crew.
our friend.
The responsible crew.
Do you know Manute? Our friend Manute.
He sounds really familiar.
Yeah, he's
Maybe I
on
met him.
He's on the dad group chat. We call him
Okay.
Manute because he's so tall.
Manute Bowl.
Manute Bowl.
Yeah.
His name's Chris Shantine.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's Manute
Anyway,
Bowl.
we
Okay.
we're on a dad chat. I remember one time I saw the chat that all my other friends were on, and then I started looking at it and was like, oh, I'm kind of glad I'm not on that chat.
The chat that just never stops either, and you're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Dude,
Oh, my
I just not
God.
even into this right now.
The one you put on silence, even though it's fun to look at, you just gotta have it on silent.
Yeah.
So I've been going to bed at like 9:30. Oh, my kid woke me up at like 6 today. He's like, Daddy, come see this, Daddy. And we went in. I think he was just showing me that the sun was up because I went in. He didn't show me anything.
No,
Yeah.
no.
He's just like, wake up, look at this.
It's light out. Just an hour ago it was dark.
Pretty much.
It's so funny, man. As we get older, bro. I mean, it's. I speaking on. It was funny because for some reason in my building I stopped getting mail, like a month or so ago. Mailbox empty all the time. No mail, nothing. No mail. And I was like, yes, finally. I mean, you'd get junk mail. Every day my mailbox is full of all this junk, and I was so happy that I'm never getting mail again. And now I'm actually bummed because I'm like, what am I missing out on? Is somebody trying to send me something that
Yeah, where's your? You're not getting
my
mail.
mail stopped. I have
You're
no
no
mail,
bills, no nothing?
nothing.
But guess what, though? You're getting a lot of spam email. That's for sure.
Kelly already knows.
That mail's not going away.
I asked someone for Vans once. When I lived in New York, I asked Robin Fleming to send me some Vans. I was like, some like half cabs. They never came, and I didn't hound her about it. And then one time I went in the lobby, and the building manager was standing there, and he had half cabs on.
Yeah.
And he was like, a 60-year-old man from India, he had half cabs on. And if it was the authentics, he might be like, well, maybe he bought those. But with the half cabs, I just knew he stole my shoes.
He's wearing the evidence right there in your building.
Yeah, I was kind of just stoked on it. Like, damn, he got my shoes.
Didn't even question him.
No, I just let him live.
You're like, oh,
Let
nice
him
shoes,
live.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, hey.
Nice shoes, Caballero. Vert Cab, Street Cab. You know who he is. Listen, Patrick, this has been incredible, dude. I want to
Yeah.
thank you so much for everything you've done, man. I mean, you shaped a lot of people, including myself, as a skater, you know, and
I feel like you guys took me out.
What do you mean?
I feel like
You hungover right now?
the 9 Club is like the new Epicly Later'd.
No, but we came
That's
way
an honor to hear
after.
that, but I don't think that we don't. It's different styles.
If
dude.
you want to find out
Yeah.
why the dude got kicked off Thunder Trucks, you can come here. And
This is true.
We'll be sure.
Everyone wants to know that.
We'll be sure to break that breaking news.
I like slap for that info.
Thunder Trucks.
um,
So why did you get kicked off of Spitfire, man?
I
People wanna
appreciate you
know.
guys having me. I've been
Dude.
nervous. I've been on a few podcasts where I wasn't that nervous, but this one I've been like stressing about it for weeks.
And
you
looking
should.
at it now, we're done. No,
I'm still sweating.
Yeah, but
My
no
pits-
reason to stress. You,
Is it,
you
it might
killed
be
it. You
hot
did
in
a
here,
great
but
job.
It might be.
It is getting a little warm.
Combination
We're going to
of
need a
both.
little air conditioning in here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Summer's upon us.
How come you guys never have Heath on?
Heath.
That's
Well.
on Heath.
Well,
Actually, what Heath
Hopefully
didn't
soon.
know is we're doing a back-to-back right now. Okay, Patrick, you get up. Heath, you come on, sit down.
I brought him as like I was gonna foist him, like slowly back away and have him come on, and,
And
then
you were just
Flat
gonna,
right
you were gonna
on.
run out the door.
Take a seat.
not because I don't want to. I want to be on your show.
understand.
I'm just. Do you ever feel like you're the baseline boring person who brings these interesting people in? And
To some degree, I can understand where you're coming from for
Yeah,
sure.
like, yeah, you're like, and so I have that like thought. Who no one wants to hear from me. They want to hear from Dustin, and Dill, and
but
Ali.
you,
No, they do, bro.
and that's
They
the
wanna
funny
hear from
part
you.
about our show. And I've said it time and time again. You probably have heard me say this, but it is the people behind the scenes that I love, and I think are the most interesting. Not only the skater, they have their own great story, but it's the filmers, the photographers, the movie makers, the team manager. Like, I love the BTS stories, man. The
Yeah.
behind the scenes.
Yeah, I wasn't
Yeah.
fishing for a compliment, but you
Well,
know,
you-
but
well,
I
you
but
got one.
If we
You got one.
But you're right in that. Like I think about like we mentioned Aaron Meza
Yeah,
or Tobin Yellen
Tobin.
we're waiting for
Great guy,
Tobin.
Yeah,
or many people. Thomas
Bryce
Campbell,
Knights.
Bryce Knights.
Yeah.
there you go.
I want Schlossbach to come on.
There.
What
yeah.
about this is a person who said no. What about Daniel Harold Sturt?
Yes. Wow,
That would be
yes.
super
You
dope.
mean
He's
Bigfoot?
I've got
Good.
nose from him.
I think he would even be harder to get than Heath.
Sturt.
We just got to ask Heath on the right day. Heath, is it the right day today? No, he said no, it's not the right day. We loved having you here, though, bro.
Hell yeah.
Heath Kirchart in the building.
Good
dude.
energy.
Can we give you some 9 Club stuff to take home? We got some coffee mugs. We got a little swag
I want
stuff.
stickers
Stickers?
for my
More stickers.
I have a little fridge that I'm putting stickers on.
Raj may have some really great stickers. We don't know. Maybe Raj?
Raj
Got some
definitely
good
has a sticker
stickers.
collection. There's no
Yeah,
doubt.
we got
Sticker collecting.
I got some good stickers at my parents' house. I mean, we're talking old.
Yeah?
I got some good ones.
Really?
Yeah. So I gotta hook you up.
Shoebox?
Just shoe boxes.
Yeah.
Boxes plural.
There you go.
Mm.
Stickers was good because one thing I like about stickers is when we were kids, they were all sick graphics and stuff, and then they went through a phase where stickers were just the company name.
Yeah, the
Logo.
brand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm glad it's back where it's like cool graphics and art.
Mhm.
I had a little
That's true.
college. I had a little college boy fridge in my room growing up. You know, just a little small thing, but it's stickered up. Stickered up. World
Sick.
Industries, pitchforks, all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So good. Kelly, we do the honors,
Yeah.
man. Will you grab him a couple of little things?
Oh, here's Roger with some
Yes.
stickers.
Boom. Damn. He
Are
gave
these
him
in-
a
wait.
archived old Jason Lee stickers.
When are these from?
Those, Tim Dowling gave us 2. How many packs did he give us, Raj? 2?
I got 3 of them.
3 packs
But when
of
were
those.
these printed?
That's the,
Those
that's
are the
OG.
originals.
Originals.
Yeah, I can't take them all. That's would be rude to take that many of these. I'm gonna take like 3. It's just too valuable.
Take 4.
Take 4.
I can't deny. You could definitely sell those on
Jason
eBay.
Lee.
Yeah, those are original Jason Lee stickers.
Straight
The-
up. Oh,
for
the
those
colors
people,
too, dude. Take some different colors.
Yeah.
Oh, there's different.
colors.
See, this is like
Bro,
for those of you
win
listening,
stickers. Win stickers, like
yeah.
this is when they matter.
different
yeah.
colors.
For those of you listening, it's a Jason Lee TV series sticker.
Because he knew he was going to be on TV one day.
Do you think these were Mark McKee? Mark McKee drawing.
It's probably McKee, yeah.
I like
I
it.
would
Doesn't,
guess.
it doesn't even say what brand it is. It's so sad.
This is Jason Lee. Yeah.
Like it doesn't say blind.
Is that going on your cooler?
I bought. Oh, when I was filming Big Brother, I was at Mark McKee's house, and somebody I knew, Justin Reagan, had bought this graphic. And he's like, "Yeah, I got it for like $200," and it was like an original graphic. And I was like, while I was at Mark McKee's, I was like, "Do you have any graphics like that?"
No.
And he started showing me boards, and the boards were expensive. And I was like, "No, because Justin has this Chris Brana graphic. Do you have anything like that?" And I bought. Remember the skull, the Rudy Johnson skull that was a parody of Pal Peralta?
Yep.
I have like the weird acetate original.
Thank you.
Amazing.
And I got this one. Do you remember the Jeremy
you,
Klein? Jeremy Klein, where it was supposed to look like Norman Rockwell, and he's like beat up kid.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
I had a sitting on the thing, right? Sitting on a little.
I have the drawing,
No, that's
and we're talking like
I had one of those boards.
like
So it was
a couple $100, and I have and the one I have's not finished. I asked him, I was like, "Why does it look like this?" And he's like, "Oh, I think I messed that one up, and I started over." So I have maybe like the first draft.
that was a slick bottom.
Yeah, so I have a black and white of that and the Rudy Johnson.
But
And he
wait a
had.
minute.
Do you have them
I
framed?
shouldn't. Yeah, and I shouldn't say this because someone else will buy them, but maybe it's too late. He had the fucked up blind kids, all four.
no way.
But he's like, "Oh, I want." Maybe it was like 500 each, and so it would be like 2 Gs, and I just didn't have 2 Gs. But I was like, that'd be dumb of me not to buy them. But I bought the other ones, and I was like, I want the fucked up blind kids.
Dude.
This is amazing.
And he lives near.
Serious?
You should run over
He
there.
lives, yeah.
He was close to here, so I went to his house with cash and got 2 graphics: the Rudy Johnson and the Jeremy
I
Klein.
had no idea that he just slangs graphics like that.
And then somebody had, yeah, I think one of them. I don't know what the graphic process is, but it looked like some sort of part of the process. Like it wasn't the original drawing; it was like an acetate or weird.
That's pretty sick,
They have to
though,
cut it out or
regardless.
whatever.
But it's a sick graphic because it's the Rudy Johnson skull.
That's so sick.
Like the Ruby Lip?
And I
Ruby
was-
Lith.
And then part of me was like, man, you've been carrying this around for like 30 years, and you're just gonna like let it go for a couple $100
love
to
that,
me.
Dude.
So it's not something that he's like advertising and selling. You just happen to.
I just was at his house, like, what do you got?
That's pretty amazing.
I want those fucked up blind kids.
You
man.
should hit him up.
I
But
still have.
then
I still have the sticker packs.
that
of
was
those.
the
I got
thing,
the
though.
remake boards of. But
That was the thing. I think as I was at his house, I had the opportunity. But then I started emailing him like, "Hey, I want the fucked up blind kids."
He didn't respond.
Yeah, because it was
Yeah,
after
like-
I just seized the opportunity, and then I kept thinking like, I need the. But then the fucked up blind kids might be weird in the living room.
You just got to. Every time somebody comes over, you just have to explain yourself.
It was like
Yeah.
Jerk and Jordan.
yeah.
Hi guy.
Rear end Rudy.
You gotta explain yourself. Why are these here?
Hi guy. Rear end Rudy. Yeah.
So
Listen, Patrick, dude. Hold on. First of all, Patrick O'Dell. Dude,
you.
thank you so much for coming on the show.
thank you,
Um,
Bob.
Hey, man, thank you.
These
bro.
are actually worth more than those little Jason Lee stickers you have here. Some 9 Club stickers. Those
I'll
are
send
great.
you a picture of my fridge later.
Yeah,
My
when it's all
skate
when it's all
fridge.
stickered up.
Oh, someone blowing you up? Spam call?
Usually I put it on silence, but nobody calls me anyway. So, you know, yeah, 9 Club mug for the morning tea or
Thank
coffee.
you.
I don't know what you drink, but then listen, we got to keep your feet warm, even though it's
Dude.
getting summer out there. We got some Stance 9 Club socks right
Stance
here.
are the best socks.
They're great. I wear Stance every single
I'm
day,
wearing-
and that's not an
I'm wearing
advertisement.
Stance. I wear the baseball ones a lot, where the players wear them.
Oh,
What,
sick.
the one with the little strips on them?
Yeah, they're like baseball.
Oh, they're not the ones with the
signature.
the stripe going up the side. Remember
I
those
don't
ones?
know because they do the MLB on-field socks, and so I started getting. I was like, I want the ones that.
Send those.
Because you know how the sick baseball players wear them like pulled up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They
Wait, are
even
they the
used
ones
to.
with the lines on the side?
Yeah, like
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Are you a
yeah,
baseball
yeah.
fan?
Yes,
What's your team?
St. Louis Cardinals.
Oh, there you go. You guys got.
Last place.
he's-
Yeah, I know.
They're
You guys
having a
got
hard
players.
time.
You guys got good players, but
They're not going to be Cardinals in about a week.
Yeah.
Trade deadline.
yeah.
Listen, the Cardinals suck, man. Here's there's a 9 Club thermos, man. Yeti, you got to keep it hydrated out there. And Yeti's got a new one for the water. Here's a plastic one. That's a BPA, whatever the hell it is. It's all
The good stuff.
good stuff.
Did you remember? What was that brand? Oh, fucking awesome! A long time ago, they had shirts that said "Booze and Shoes."
Booze and
It
shoes?
said "Booze and Shoes." It was
No.
like one of their shirts, like right when they started.
Okay.
But it was a St. Louis reference because one of the owners is from St. Louis. St. Louis was first in booze, first in shoes, last in the American League. because whatever the St. Louis Browns sucked, but that's why it says Booze and Shoes. It was like a
St. Louis Browns.
that they became the Baltimore Orioles. And they sucked.
Things changed up.
Sorry,
Yes,
that's
we-
so off topic. I know we were doing a thing. You can just cut the baseball.
That's good to
talk.
know. You gotta learn
Why
something.
not?
You know Schmitty? He has a Schmitty.
Yeah, I know
He has
Schmitty.
a baseball skate podcast now.
Baseball
way.
skate podcast? What does that mean?
I would love to talk.
Kelly's about to go
Problem
get on
is-
that thing.
The problem is I think he's so pro Giants that it's
Yeah.
basically a Giants skateboarding.
That's cool. I mean,
But I was like, so does he have Dodgers fans on there? Like,
Yeah.
depends. That rivalry's gnarly. I'm not gonna fight you type dude. Like talk shit. But I just, it's fun when it's in the moment. But I love that history though of the team.
Well, he's
For
got
sure.
a Talking Schmidt podcast.
Talking Schmidt. He has another one. That's
Another one.
baseball and skateboarding.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm stoked on. That sounds cool.
I'm going to start.
That's
I
awesome.
haven't listened. I
Super
just became aware of it.
I'm gonna tune into that
I
one.
can't remember. I think the name's like some skate pun.
That would be kind of. I mean, it would be weird, but like I would like to see different people from different skaters from like different teams. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it would make it more diverse.
Did you see the,
like-
the
Right.
Guy Mariano cover of Thrasher? We had the Dodgers hat on. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I was like amazed that they
I know, right?
allowed that.
Yeah, that is.
Dodgers,
Yeah.
they're very strict on their stuff, huh?
So there's a Guy Mariano
This is,
Dodgers.
this is years ago, though.
Yeah, I was just shocked that they allowed that.
That the Dodgers allowed that.
No,
or that
that
Thra-
the
That Thrasher allowed
Thrasher.
it.
That
Yeah,
Thrasher.
yeah.
Okay.
Because Dodgers could have sued them.
Right.
No,
because of the
they love
rivalry.
They love the Giants so much.
That's
Like Thrasher on their Instagram for years had the Giants logo, and I was like, they let Guy with the Dodgers hat.
You know why they let him? Because it's Guy Mariano.
There you go.
If it was me on there and they were putting the cut, they would have been like, "No, we're going to pass on this one."
The Cardinals all we
do
got.
a Photoshop on that.
You know,
thing.
Yeah,
you think-
let's Photoshop him.
I always think about like what pros, like what team. The Cardinals only have me, I think Barra, and Dave Mayhew.
It's a good lineup.
We're the Cardinals fans.
Yeah,
Oh.
you three are sitting in the outfield.
Yeah.
right?
So anyway, we don't
There's a
have
few.
that many.
Isn't like Jason Wessler from there and
Yeah.
Brad Johnson?
Brad Johnson.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but they're
Jabari
SF now.
Pendleton, I think. Isn't Jabari from there? Or am I?
Jason Wooster's like SF though.
Yeah, but those I'm just saying they're from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
A
This
lot
is-
of the Boston skaters just like the Giants, like
Right.
Brian Anderson's Giants, Phelps. He's from Boston, right? But he's Giants.
See, what people don't realize is that we have our own skateboarding baseball pod. This is going to be cut into 2 episodes. This is a whole different episode. This is 2 different.
This is where we started.
This is episode 1.
Oh,
of-
you just made me so happy when you brought that up. I was like, oh, this would be a good thing.
this is called skateboarding up to bat.
You know what we're missing out on right now is the
I always noticed that like the New York skaters, some of them have the Mets, some of them the Yankees.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
Mostly
Bobby
Yankees.
Pulio usually has a Mets hat, but then I had this whole photo where he had a Yankees hat. I was like, oh, he must have switched.
switched up.
Yeah,
You got
sometimes it's like
options.
Clippers.
But I was going through my
Lakers, right?
Yeah, but
blog,
Clippers
and I
in there.
used to have Yankees hats just because I like New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I look at them, I'm like, why am I fucking wearing a Yankees hat?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of regrettable. Or I'd have a Phillies hat because my initial is P,
Right.
but like I'm not a Phillies.
Listen, there's a lot of stuff I can look back on and be embarrassed about. But listen, I think that we're in a good spot.
lot.
There's a lot. Trust me, we're in a good spot right now, Patrick. Okay,
Don't ruin it.
dude. Thank you so much for coming
Yes,
on the
bro.
show. We appreciate you, and thank you for everything you've done, man. And I hope something's going to happen with Epicly Later'd. We'll see.
Someone listening is gonna hook me up.
There you go.
There we go.
That's right.
Happy
That's
Later'd
right.
Part 2.
Let's go.
Thank you guys.
Thank you,
Yeah, yeah.
Patrick. Thank you.
Thanks,
Credits.